back, everyone, to Raised by Spoilers.
Ooh.
I'm one of your hosts, Geek Movie House. Joining us tonight, we've got Nintendo Geek, the feminist warlord herself.
Or is it Nintendo Geek Movie House?
I don't know. I didn't want to make it any longer or abbreviate. Hyphenate? No, not a chance at all. We'd lose it all.
Now that you're married, that's what we're saying here. That's what we're going on.
Wow.
On with.
Okay.
We
Thank
did
you. You know
the
what?
thing.
You did the thing.
We announced that last episode. It was a month ago. We're way past that. In fact, we're so past that we're in the future. We are deep in the future where there is no crime, there is no sex, there is no violence.
We waited this long to get married, though.
The vaginas are photoshopped out. In the future, there is only Taco Bell.
I like how your excited voice always goes to Skeletor.
It's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of Monarch from Venture
Oh,
Brothers.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Dr. Girlfriend,
That makes total
bring
sense.
me the flight suit.
I can't do an impression of her. I wish
I
I could.
every day I wake
I
up and I
wish
wish you could do.
Just drop all the octaves.
Adam,
Yes.
plebeian Adam.
Yes.
I was thinking of a phoenix thing, rising from the ashes, but I can't.
Be well.
Be well.
Be well,
everyone.
be well,
I figured,
everyone.
I figured we'd end the
well.
show that way, but that's wonderful. I like
Yeah.
how we're starting it off. Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, and Sandra Bullock
Yes.
star in the movie tonight. This episode is...
Demolition Man. It's the one I brought.
Please.
So I've got the plot. I've got all the basic information. Demolition Man is a movie from 1993 with innocent victims caught in the crossfire in Los Angeles, intensifying war on crime. Both cop John Spartan, Sylvester Stallone, and violent thug Simon Phoenix, Wesley Snipes, are sentenced to a state of frozen incarceration known as cryo prison. When Spartan is finally thawed 36 years later, it's 2032, and Los Angeles is now a pacifist utopia called San Angeles. But the Phoenix, again, is on the loose. Spartan must team up with the future cop, Lenina, Sandra Bullock, to apprehend the killer. This movie was released October 8th, 1993, which is why we decided to. We're a little bit a month behind, but it is its 30th anniversary of release. It's 115 minutes, so decent length. Mm-hmm. Its budget was about 45 to 77. They believe with marketing and all, it was about 95 million.
Wow.
Its box office was 159.1 billion.
Wow. So did they make any more? If they made money back?
I don't think they made, if you consider the 90 with the marketing, they only made about 50 million. So it wasn't a whole lot. No, it absolutely did not. It was considered to have not been all that successful when it ran, which is why it kind of grew a cult following later.
Gotcha.
In fact, its original reviews were a 62%, is now on Rotten Tomatoes. Some of the older ones were 2 out of 5 on some of the older debunked review sites that don't really exist anymore, so it's an older one. However, nowadays, if you conglomerate all the ratings together, you're looking at about a 4.1 out of 5, so it's about an 81%.
Fair enough. So before we get into our thoughts and everything like that, I want to break down some hard fucking truths, folks. The United States government spends $296 billion each year on the justice system that is continuing to fail and cripple the economy and their people.
Defund the police.
Defund the police. Make it better. It necessarily doesn't. I just want to get like this out of the way before we're like, man, the cop movie where they beat up the bad guys instead of they beat the shit. Like this is it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. We'll get into that, but also fucking police propaganda to the nines when they're like, what are we gonna do? We're just gonna blow everything up, and it's like, oh boy. So the U.S. today, in a very dystopian future way, after the anti-vax movements or the government itself being the government, especially in the United States, is shocking. There was a lot of times when we watched this movie and went, "Oh, they're not far off," and "Oh, yikes!"
Well,
That hit a little close to home.
We're
Right.
only 9 years off as far as like this being still 2023.
Right.
So it's not, unfortunately, yeah, a lot of it isn't just,
It's almost
made up.
parody instead of dystopian
Well, when
future
they're like,
in a
yeah,
weird
we've,
sort of way.
abortions are illegal. I'm like, and people need licenses to have babies. I'm like, we are so close, or the states is so close to doing something stupid like that.
So what is absolutely funny is I'll start with this is a
Sorry to cut
huge
you off.
topic
Please
about this
jump in.
movie. You're absolutely
Bounce me
right.
in.
This is a huge debate with this movie.
Okay.
Is it smart? Is it just dumb? Or does it have something to say? What is it trying to say?
Right.
There's a lot of debate around this movie, and I'll just cut to the chase. What is interesting is the original writer wrote the original version of the script, which apparently had a lot of touch up that went through a lot of writers, classic movies, all because he had a video cassette tape stuck in his car, and it would only ever play one song, and it was
And insert song right here.
insert song right here. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was Spike. What the hell was it? What the hell?
Sting.
Thank you.
Formerly of the Police.
Formerly, please. It was Sting's Demolition
Ironic.
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 Stings.
Man. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
You can find Sting on our older episode of David Lynch's Dune.
Yes.
He is the Prince Harkonnen.
Yeah. So they went through a bunch of writing. It had no intention of being like dramatic or have something to say. It was just an action movie.
Yeah.
Exactly as done. And it went through a bunch of writers who corrected it, cleaned it up,
Yeah.
added some comedy, added this. And then eventually what happened was it got tied to the director, Marco Brambilla. And you're like, who the hell is that? I don't recognize him with any other movies. No, you wouldn't. He's done one other movie.
Okay. What was
Ever.
his other movie?
His other movie was, and you also never recognize this either. It's called Sync or Destricted.
Never heard of it.
Exactly.
Never heard of it.
That's my point. It was and it's only a short film.
Okay.
So
That was
if
in a
he
film
was, he's a
festival.
one-hit wonder.
He's a one-hit wonder. He has gone on. He is like I don't want to say an Andy Warhol because he's not quite as famous as that.
Okay.
But I showed you earlier a little video. I'll put a link down in the doobly-doo
Yep.
of it. This guy does a lot of shows for museums and art installations. And so that video you saw would have actually been one long LED animated screen that you would just walk in there. The whole thing would be showing all at once.
It's very
Wait,
much a collage. Sorry.
I was going to say, it reminds me of a flat kaleidoscope.
Yeah. It's not
a
just a
tree.
kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
He specifically takes snippets from movies
Yeah.
and puts them in to create a theme or an ideology. If you want YouTube his name, you'll see a bunch of them. Not all of them are available,
Yeah.
but you will find a bunch of them. So this guy is the artist's artist. He's that classic, like, I'm here for the art. I'm here for the expression.
He's a collage editor. He's also famous for doing the Kanye West Power video, that classic one that everyone had seen
Yes.
in a weirdly 2010 action movie or a PlayStation commercial. I honestly feel like seeing a couple of his pieces it's like watching an AI generator work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a
Before they
bad
were a
way,
thing.
before they were a
It has
thing.
that AI quality to it.
It does a little bit have the AI quality, and not in a bad way. Fuck AI art, but it just feels like it can't figure out what it wants to be as it
Yes.
starts to settle itself down and come up with the answers. So in a way, it almost feels like a daydream or just a shotgun blast of commercials.
Yes.
Where you're just flipping and it's all colliding
Exactly. And so I'm not, because not much is done. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's not very famous or anything.
Okay.
And this movie was kind of out just at the start of the internet, so there isn't a lot of data on it. It's hard to say when some of the political statements or political ideologies came into play, or there just isn't any. And we're all just adding information to this. And it is just a dumb action movie. So there's a lot of debates right now over, is it a very smart movie that's meant to have a message and make a statement? Or is it just a dumb movie that coincidentally, through sheer luck, hits some key notes?
I think the thing is, though, if you look at it, and this is just like, we grew up in this era, but we didn't actually like live in it.
True.
Right?
I was
we have
3 years old.
right,
in
and that's what I mean. We grew up in this era, but
These are the
also-
movies I watched when I was a kid, because
Right.
I was like, no, I wasn't 10 at 1993. I was probably like 6.
right.
Yeah.
6 or 5 or something like that.
Leaving the Reagan era,
Yep.
leaving the war on drugs, the crippling ironclad fist or boot on people of color in that era. I mean, you look at LA, the first 10 minutes of this film, I'm sitting here going, oh, fucking right, Predator 2 is wild. And this has nothing to do with Predator 2, except that it's in Los Angeles and guns are being sold on the street next to handfuls of drugs and bullets are flying
and also
everywhere.
What
and it's
happened? Who is the band? Sublime does the song about the LA riots in 1992, and this came out in 1993.
Oh,
So that's where all like the crime was happening in LA of just people rioting and having guns and explosions on the street.
hence
so
the photos in the museum.
that makes sense.
oh, you're saying they actually were from that?
The riots.
Yeah, there was.
I didn't
riots.
recognize that.
April,
Riots.
yeah, this song is literally called April 29th, 1992.
Wow.
So chaos
good
on the
song.
streets.
So that's where they got that from, probably.
And there's also this weird sort of crux of like, who can we believe in? We need a symbol. Superman, Batman, only saves white people.
They're only East Coast.
They're on, well, not even East Coast, right? But there is just this weird like slew of like Last Action Hero, fucking every Stallone movie, every like Schwarzenegger movie, Seagal movies.
Yep.
Police officer willing to bend the rules for justice.
RoboCop.
Yeah, a little earlier, but yeah, no, but at this point you would have had like RoboCop like fucking 3 or 4.
I don't know.
But like there is this weird time period of like police propaganda.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's the same thing right around when 9/11 happened, and all of a sudden it's like stealth, fucking Transformers, Call of Duty starts selling through the roof. Like you're right. It's a dumb action movie. It has nothing to do with that. But if you fold up some tinfoil, and I hate to do this, and I don't want to write either the fan fiction, and I don't want to speculate and stuff, but you can't help but look at either comfort food, stay home and get fat, or join the military.
Well, no. Also look at cable television. It's all firefighter, ambulance, police shows right now.
Well, it's been
and
that for a long time.
They need everyone to like recruit to those because like people just aren't. They're running out of like they need to recruit a new generation of those things.
1970s. Welcome back, Carter. Hey, I'm Sesame Street. The fucking Crosby's. All of this was hey, we're a mixed family with mixed couples, and like we need to welcome everybody and everyone of people of color, and everyone is like just like you and me. And we've all got our own problems, and there's a little bit of slang, and you sort of get it. Or even like Welcome Back, Carter, where it's like, hey, I'm a teacher, and all of these kids are failing, but they have hearts of gold. And they need to make it, and we need better teachers. And like, there's it's just showing without saying the system stacked against everybody. If they can't afford it.
So one thing I really enjoy about this movie, one reason I love it, like I said, I hadn't watched this in quite some time. So there's like little details of like jokes people made, certain scenes that I just cut out from memory because it just didn't matter, but it does play a role in each character. But one thing I love about it was I was rewatching some reviews, getting ready for this, seeing what other people think about this movie. And what I found through my research was if you have you could have a review from like a liberal, like a cliche classic on the liberal side, and they are using this as a look, here's my point. It makes a clear statement that supports or is dramatically against me. And then you can have the other side, the highly non-liberal, the right wing. And you can have that. And they also look how it works for my point. So if you view this movie from different perspectives, it makes different statements.
It does.
100%.
Which is what I found so intriguing by it was I didn't realize this about this movie as I grew up with it. But now looking back and looking at the reviews, I'm like, oh, wow, this clearly is sending mixed signals to everyone and is sending, you get from it what you see in it.
Well,
and I thought that was really cool.
I mean, my takeaway real quick here is like, and this kind of doesn't sum up the plot, but the system is broken. And we need to get the guy who can break the system even more to fix the system.
Yes, but on the other side, they also have the statement of the old system was also broken.
Absolutely.
So they make the statement of they're very clearly, and at the end they summarize it where they're like, you can't be, all John Spartan.
You can't be John Wayne.
You can't be all John Wayne. The world can't be that. That leads to destruction and chaos. But also the other side is fascism. So you got to find the happy middle.
Which is fucking hilarious because when you look at the time periods, you're going from right wing into oops, the commie liberals are here to take away our knives and our knives and our red meat, back into right wing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like,
you're absolutely right.
It's bonkers, but also you're right. The fascism is the fascism right there is, you can't deny it. It's just so, I don't know, man. It's such a weird one because it is like, you're right where it's like, there's both sides of the argument, right? You've got your liberals, you've got your conservatives being like, well, you know, he was the right man for the right job, action hero, versus hey, we should talk about this. But also, I'm just going to repeat myself. It's interesting. It's an interesting like perspective. So like us taking away, for me personally, woke as a fucking yoke, but like love me some fucking Judge Dredd. I love the Stallone one. Yeah. I love the fucking, like, I get it. But also I think I enjoy it because of it's not real. It's dystopian. Yeah. Yep. And I can differentiate both.
It's a movie. It's not reality.
Right. I don't join the army to be G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. But there's people out there who don't. And that's the scary thing.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Oh, you join the army so you get free school.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of countries do that too.
That's the main reason.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now that we've already kind of talked about the politics.
We ain't done yet.
Whoa, we got deeper.
Oh, fuck, we are.
So what I do want to get is...
this episode sponsored by Taco Bell, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Taco Bell, the last remaining restaurant in the dystopian future. Taco Bell, come in for a Crunchwrap Supreme. Taco Bell. Now let's Baja blast our way into this fucking movie plot.
All right. So, yeah. Actually, Amanda... What was your first impressions? What did you think of this movie?
I haven't even heard of this movie before. So you're like, we're doing this. I'm like, what movie is that?
I find that weird giving you the getup. I'm guessing you must have done some minor research before you showed up.
Oh, because I don't know if anyone's noticed if you watch the videos, but actually, almost every episode, I tried to match one of the characters. Yeah. In some way. And I think my best was when we did the Warriors, but it didn't get recorded.
We were on video for that. Yeah.
But or your worm when you were the Dune.
Oh, the Dune episode, the worm. Yeah.
Back before we had the technology.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful.
No, all I did was I Googled. I just looked up like Demolition Man costume, and then I actually seen an action figure of Simon Phoenix, and I'm like, I don't have a pair of blue coveralls, but I have black, and it's technically still October, so I'm kind of like,
it works.
The spooky.
Yeah, we're recording this at the end of October.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't know anything about the movie other than there's a Taco Bell reference.
You never heard of the Three Seashells reference?
No, I've never. Well, like we were talking about things like during the movie that we were seeing other movies had ripped off or parodied.
Yep.
Parodied this movie a lot. I can't talk. Parodied it.
Yep, that works.
Like you said, with Austin Powers coming out of like the cryogenic, or Futurama making fun of the New York under New York, New York. So I've seen it, and it was familiar, but I just never seen the actual movie.
That makes
I haven't
sense.
seen a lot of Sylvester Stallone movies actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a Bruce Willis person, I guess, growing up. I seen a lot of Bruce Willis movies.
Okay, I just got to do this real quickly. There you go. Oh, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I should touch.
Don't touch my wife's hand.
Yeah, we don't touch him. So what did you think of the movie now that you've seen it coming in completely blind?
I liked it. I think it had a good beginning, solid, or a solid beginning, middle, and end. Mm-hmm. It kept, at no point did it veer off its main track of plot, and it was a plot you can actually stick with and figure out, be like, oh, I understand what's going on. Like, you didn't get lost at any point. Yep. Which was nice. I was relieved at the end when we're to spoil the end that she isn't his daughter.
Yeah, I know.
She's totally his fucking daughter. She's totally his fucking daughter.
Because I'm like,
she's
okay,
totally his daughter.
Like, she's super I'm like, there's no way she isn't, because you had mentioned it early on, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, they set it up.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Well.
Do you want to know who your daughter is? I can look into it. No, don't tell me.
So, and I was just so happy when they kissed at the end, and I'm like, and I had to Google it. I'm like, oh, thank God.
I'll inject in here real quickly. the daughter plot was going to be in one of the versions, she was the daughter.
Yeah.
In another one of the versions of the script, the daughter was going to be a part of, I don't know, the mole people, whatever, the people underground.
Okay.
And he was going to meet her during the underground, and that was going to be like a convincing, like, how does he team up with these people?
Right.
That was going to
Okay.
be part of the, but I guess during
His daughter is the fucking...
she wasn't going to be the leader. She was going to be like next to the leader, like a right hand.
She's selling rat burgers.
Yeah. But they cut it out because
enough.
they just went there. They had it and they filmed
Yeah.
it all and they had this discussion with it, but they just sort of like cut it out and stuff like that. Probably last minute during filming.
Also, they probably didn't want to have his daughter be a 36 to 40 something year old person, right? Because then if he's been frozen for 36 years and already had a daughter,
yeah.
then she would have to be like over
His
40.
age, he would have been...
Would've been
Yeah,
so-
it
he
would've
would have been
been-
Sylvester
Yeah,
Stallone's
yeah.
It
age in the
definitely
movie.
would have been Sandra
Can't have
Bullock
that.
because she looked like she was in her like young
20.
20s.
Yeah. I don't
So
know how
just
old
it
22.
didn't work out
Yeah,
the
I
way
completely
that the time frame was. Maybe if he was only frozen for like 16 years or like 20 or 21 years or whatever, but not
Yeah,
not
you-
36.
I
but
did
hold
love
up.
your comment where I think you guys made the statement of, oh, it's totally her daughter. It's totally his daughter. It's totally his daughter. And I sat there and went, God, I hope not. And your first reaction was, don't tell me this gets old Boyd.
It's old
No,
boy.
'cause you didn't say anything, so I'm like, oh, he knows something. He just doesn't
his
want to
daughter.
spoil it.
Okay, but honest to God, and not to like, we're going to completely rip the whole
But
thing
hold
apart.
on.
Okay.
First impressions. I liked it. Sorry. No, I'm just like,
I'm holding on!
it reminded me of Die Hard a bit, just with the amount of action that was in it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
guns in Die Hard. You're right.
Yeah, a lot
See
of
the
guns.
similarities?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But other than that, yeah, I enjoyed it.
that makes sense. Rich,
Go on, sorry.
now that you've had your political 3 point, tell me about the political views on this movie and your first impressions.
I'm looking at the action figures right now.
Yeah,
know
of course
They
you
are
are.
not. They are not good. For some reason, Phoenix has a crossbow, and they all no. He's got the.
He never had a crossbow in this
No, he
movie.
doesn't. He never had a crossbow, which would have been fucking cool as shit. Also, there is no lady character. There is no Huxley action
She
figure.
didn't get an action figure?
There is
Aw.
Sylvester Stallone in yellow shirt. There is Sylvester Stallone in bulletproof vest with all of the guns and all of the nonsense. There is Alfredo. And then there is Wesley Snipes' character, Simon Phoenix, as the bad guy. And he's got the electric, like, charged gun. And all of these things look like they shoot missiles.
Do you want to
They
throw
all
it
is-
up on
pew,
the...
It's pretty
That's
great.
hilarious.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it up
I've
right now.
seen the yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I don't get it.
These are not the ones I was thinking of when you were
I
talking
don't get
about
it
these.
either. Yeah, they look real rough.
You can tell
really
it's
bad.
Spartan because it says Spartan
Yeah,
Yeah,
on the wrong side.
it says Spartan.
the wrongs. That is so bad.
So before I jump too far, how good would it have been if like, hey, here's your partner, you have to fucking stick with this guy, and the entire time she's like, yeah, my dad died a long time ago, he was a cop, my mom died, I joined the police force trying to like connect with him, and then all of a sudden, romance. I mean incest. Like it would have worked in the story. And it would have been a little bit more valid instead of like, hey, Sandra Bullock's sort of quirky, fun, and hot. It would have like,
I don't know if I
think
would
a
have.
40-year-old woman would have been fine.
Not
I
in
think
1993. when
not
you
in
needed a
1990.
hot
I know.
young
Get that
actress.
shit out of here.
That's just the sexism of the 90s. Unfortunately, they couldn't have a leading actress next to Sylvester Stallone where they were the same age.
No, I get that.
Well, this was
It
also-
sucks, but
yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, that's I see what you're saying. Yeah, this was one of her. I don't want to say breakout roles, but this is what led her to get into Speed, which was her actual breakout.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So this was like a stepping stone in order for her to kind of like get up.
Yes, this was one of her big stepping
Because
stones.
she like co-stars in Speed. She's just in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, this was the first one that got her to Speed. Speed was her breakout.
Right.
This was like the thing that got her into Speed.
I was gonna say her acting in the very beginning, like my first impression of her, I'm like, wow, she is not great in this. And then I caught on that that's just how she talks in the future.
That's how the
She's
character-
very
That's everybody's
articulate
like that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh no, she's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some good comedy in it.
Sorry, you never got to.
Hi.
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 Welcome to your
welcome to Raised by Spoilers.
your podcast.
We've been drinking Baja Blast for like 2 hours, so
Sponsored by no, yeah. I like this movie This is probably my second time. Like, I feel like there's parts of it that are familiar. Obviously, the seashells, which we will get into later on, I'm sure. Let's put a pin in that. I want to get to the I want to do a whole segment on the seashells. Because I haven't flushed. I've just been using seashells. So we'll get to that. No, it's okay. Demolition Man's okay. I feel like the prop department had a fucking field day. I feel like it was two different movies running against each other. The plot line with the people underground very much felt like Escape from New York, which you immediately threw at as soon as the movie started. You're like, LA 2097 or whatever. We're like, oh shit, it's fucking Escape from New York.
Yep.
Which is another great one. If you have not seen that, go watch Escape from New York. But I thought it was okay. I think Sylvester Stallone plays this like just grizzled cop that never runs out of bullets, and the whole thing kind of just gets a little too heavy. I found like the end wrapped up way too quickly. And I feel like the problem with Wesley Snipes' character is when we run right into it as soon as he gets freed into the beginning of the movie, where they're like, wait, you're going to think he's going to just open up a business? And it's like, what is the bad guy's plan?
Yep.
What is the fucking plan here? Because
you are fined 1 credit for violation of the verbal mortality code.
Right. Thank you very much.
By the way, greatest through joke throughout the entire movie.
I wish it was ended at the end of it. I thought it would have been hilarious if they were fighting and swearing at each other, and then the thing kept printing tickets, and they just both turn and shoot it, right? And be like, okay, enough of this. Cop, not even cop, but man out of time, fish out of water. Beautiful story, always works well. Sometimes, realistically, not even always, I should say. But ultimately, I feel like not enough plot for how much world building that they did. And I feel like a little bit of that was wasted. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a tie-in comic somewhere or something, but like the idea of like, we need this detective, this like, I don't know. It's good. It's good. It's a good story. It's just not amazing. You know what I mean?
No, I completely agree. So some information for you, just because I wanted
throw it my way.
You discussed it. So the costume, the costumer, Rob Ringwood. I don't know if we mentioned it in past videos, but he was the he did the costuming on Doom 1984.
Oh, David Lynch is it?
Yep, and Alex Thompson was an editor, and he worked on Alien 3.
Okay.
So they brought in some big names for this.
Yeah.
That's why the costuming was
your
so
Dutch
good.
angles when he's running through the warehouse.
Yeah.
That's where you're seeing those camera shots and the way it's edited chop, as he is blasting through these. They make big spaces feel like tight corridors.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Yeah, so I think the costumes are one of the world building, I think in this movie is perfectly done in that like they make statements but don't fully explain them.
Right, which is totally fine.
Just
like the seashells.
Just like the seashells. They don't fully explain everything, like the earthquake. You're like, what the fuck does that mean? It's a thing that made it. All we know is that it's a great catastrophe that made everyone be willing to give up their freedoms for this protection.
Well,
that's all we know.
Everyone knows that. At least I thought everyone knew about. California's due for like the big one.
Yeah,
it's like a once a century thing, and it has like the last time it happened it was like the early like 1910s or whatever. But like, yeah, everyone is like the big one's coming.
No, there was one in the 80s.
No, like a big one.
No, but there was one that like leveled.
Oh, it was in the 80s? Oh, okay.
There was one
it was
that
like
leveled California in the 80s.
Which is probably what they got this
That's
from.
why they're like, fuck, what was the thing?
Okay.
89.
Oh, I didn't know they. Oh, I'm thinking of Yellow or I'm thinking of Yellowstone.
6.9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
it was a big one.
Like, they had this world building that where they just, to me, it's the perfect kind of world building where it gets you interested in the world. You're like, I get it. We're not supposed to really like this fascist group, but I am interested to see what world they built and all these colloquialism comments that they made, these discussions.
Hold on. You're right. I want to just one more pin.
Oh yeah,
right next to the seashells. We'll get to that. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise we'll get to the seashells. So, I promise I'm not going to go off the fucking conspiracy theory. Like, I promise you all, the viewers out there at home, I swear, I'm not going to go off the conspiracy theory thing. 89, San Francisco, earthquake, 6.9, levels the fucking city, divides it, cracks the fucking street right in half.
Okay.
Besides, '90s school shootings.
Yep.
Can we think of another catastrophe that united the country in order to band together to have something sort of go military
Before this movie?
after?
Oh, I can think of after.
Yeah.
And it has a 9 in it.
Yeah.
And
Let's
2
all
towers.
remember, right? Not to make a
It's
cheap
got
joke.
Sauron's tower in it.
Absolutely. But that being said, that little man made it up the hill to put the ring back in the box, and that was great. But it's the same sort of, we went from this catastrophe on the West Coast, and now here's the perfect dystopian society that lives after.
Yep.
Versus, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it's like, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. And like, this is crazy because it's 89. We didn't live through that. But
Yep.
also, the world is ending. We need to band together.
But
It's a
the
Star
thing
Trek
is-
episode.
Yep.
We had a great catastrophe. We threw guns away. We abolished slavery
No,
and
that
blah, blah,
was
blah, blah,
happening
blah.
before because the earthquake here happened in 2010. They were already freezing people way before that.
Yes. But I'm saying writing the film,
Oh,
they would have, because
gotcha.
this came out in 93.
So the
as
last
they
murder,
wrote-
according to the lore of the world, if there's a computer that read it out,
Okay.
the last murder that ever occurred was in 2010.
So I'm talking.
Oh, I see. So they basically it destroyed the old city and they built the news. Ah, I gotcha.
And everyone was afraid, and there was like from the war from the 1980s and the 1990s.
Oh, so they
took the fear of the earthquake, the event.
Yeah, like the Iraqi war, like Gulf, all of
Yeah,
that.
and then that was enough to like put everyone over the edge to go, I'm willing to give up my freedom for
The earth is
protection.
tearing. Yeah, the
and
earth
then
is
they already
tearing.
had the technology, so they just kind of like oofed it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Earth is tearing itself apart. We need to do something right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like if we all banded together to get rid of global warming.
Yeah, if only.
Now, granted,
Be nice.
to clarify what I was saying is like real life events versus the time when the script was written or like workshopped versus the movie's plot and lore.
Yeah.
Is what I was trying to differentiate.
No, you're right.
Right. That's all.
But that's why this movie gets kind of so big, is there's a bit of like almost prophecy to it. Like,
Right.
like there's a bit of that, like this hit a little close to home.
Right.
On
Well, this
how
just
accurate it
happened.
was.
This sort of just happened. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like 4 years ago,
Yeah.
they had a fucking massive earthquake, scared the shit out of people, killed a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden, what happens now and how do we band together?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that's one of the things why people go, oh my god, this is so much smarter than it was. It's kind of, they almost they give it that idiocracy treatment, which was, this was almost prophetic in a way.
Yeah, but like it also is. Welcome to Raised by Spoilers, where we find an ocean in the size of a shot glass.
What was the last comment on our last video? How was the review longer than the movie?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, Adam, keep going.
I don't remember that's all I. Well, I'll give my. I don't remember where I was going with that.
Yeah,
one.
what did you think of the movie? We were talking about the set designers and the prop department.
Yeah.
and who worked on it.
No, that's pretty much all. That's the big stuff that you need to know, because I think the costume is a huge aspect of this movie.
Yes.
The costumes are top notch. I love the very clear, like almost Japanese style. You know, the civilians wear.
Yeah.
But then immediately the cops are just so fascist. They're
Militaristically.
so Nazi.
Yeah.
Great. I love
Yeah.
it. It's beautiful. I'm sorry to say it, but I love my Nazi. Like, I think they look great. They look slick. They're those boss outfits. It's
Sure.
boss, right? Yeah, they're good, but I obviously not into fascism. But and then you combine that with like the truck tires, the car tires.
Yeah,
of
the
underground.
Mad Max,
The Mad
Road
Max.
Warrior style.
Beautiful. You can tell exactly who someone is, what faction they're a part
Yeah.
of, and it all kind of just felt natural in a weird
Yeah.
way. I loved their costumes in this movie.
Well, it's all very the people from underground LA, very handmade, and you see that.
Yeah.
You see how stapled and super glued and stitched together everything felt for the prop department wise. Even the idea of this episode being sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell, the last remaining fast food chain in all of our dystopian future. Taco Bell. You see that with the dehydrated food that they're stealing off the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing where I kind of feel like it needed the budget was already being spent because they designed cars.
Yes.
which was fucking ridiculous because it's like make 4 of them,
So
and then drive them down the street up and down the same like back and forth.
to be clear on that, I'm sure you noticed the Oldsmobile product placement.
Oh yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
They were like, here's product placement. It was less than Taco Bell, which is weird. Yeah, it was less than Taco Bell, which was difficult. But Oldsmobile provided, those were all actually concept cars that Oldsmobile designed.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And they just gave them a paint job
No shit.
for the movie. And then they took them all back and they were at display of like a demo or whatever, concept cars.
Yeah.
They didn't get put on the road. They were
Okay.
just, these
Yeah.
car companies
Well
put out
set, yeah.
concept cars, put them at shows, and then they never
that's
see the
really
light
cool.
of day. So all the cars they provided them were all from Oldsmobile, and they were all concept cars, which is why Oldsmobile was the sponsor. So they
Yeah.
didn't pay for any. I mean, you
Well,
always
they
pay for
probably
something.
paid. They probably paid at some point though, because it's the same thing you see with a lot of movie tie-ins where it is like the Taco Bell, the last remaining fast food joint in our
no,
dystopian
now
future.
every restaurant is a Taco Bell.
So you see that because you got to assume Taco Bell paid to have a fucking product placement, or there was some sort of money exchange.
Taco Bell paid, yeah.
Right. Oldsmobile might have paid a little bit.
Oldsmobile paid,
have-
but I'm saying them filmed and
Right, but that offsets the budget to have more
Yes.
explosions. You
Yep.
see that with a lot of James Bond movies.
Yep.
Right? That's why he's got a brand new watch and a brand new car in every fucking movie.
Yep.
I owe tickets.
Oh,
My point being is,
I wasn't gonna say it every time you're gonna swear because I'd be like just like murmuring the mic the whole time.
okay, never mind. My point being is, I felt like for the budget that we had, for the world building we had, I feel like I still needed a bit of Back to the Future 2.
What do you mean?
The classic like Taco Bell thing where they're stealing food and stuff, and it's like it's all styrofoam,
Yep.
and they drop the water, and all of a sudden it expands or whatever. Like just a
To
little
show a
bit,
bit more of the
What
world.
the fuck are they stealing? Well, they're stealing styrofoam, popcorn, peanuts.
Yeah, I see
Like,
what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Just to show like, okay, well, this is what our food is. This is how we eat. This is the seashells. But just the fact of it being like, well, we're starving. There's not enough food. The rich people upstairs have it, and this is what our conflicts are. Once again, falls a little bit to the wayside because it's a cop drama about getting the bad guy and shooting the guns.
Oh,
really
for
loud.
sure. Yeah. I think it's definitely, they might have had more of that
Yeah.
before the cutting, on the cutting room floor.
Well,
type of thing.
some stuff they just couldn't figure out or
Well-
couldn't get it to work too, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
see.
Speaking of the budget, real quickly. So in the first part before the title hits,
Yeah.
and the first building that they explode.
Yeah.
So they talked to, you didn't have the logo outward. They talked to LA, and LA was going to demolish that building. I forget what it was. It was an old factory of some sort, or old building of some sort. And they were going to demolish it anyway. And they got basically permission, like, no, we're going to blow up the building.
Blow up the sock factory.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
That blow up, normally you have the explosion and then you cut right to the demolished building because they don't actually demolish the building.
Yeah.
Right.
They demolished that building themselves. They got permission. Apparently the explosion was so big it created a crater in the middle of the building.
There was a lot, like the way it exploded. I'm like, holy shit.
A lot of pyrotechnic
It
guys
was-
going to go fucking hard.
Well, yeah, they pyrotechnic
Yeah.
to make it bigger, and
Right.
then they had real explosions to take down the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the pyrotechnics were just for show, took out some windows.
But then you can tell because I was like, da-da-da-da-da, and then just the way it fell, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was, honestly, that's not what cost them all their budget. They had pre-planned for that. But it was pretty spectacular. You don't get that view a
It's
lot.
a great opening shot.
Yeah.
Of like, bang, loud noises. We fucking right. We sunk a building to the ground. You
It's
better get
definitely
ready.
better than the inferno that happened with the end of, what was it? Not He-Man. Conan.
Oh,
When
yeah,
they
yeah.
accidentally set the prop on fire.
Well, they didn't want to take it down.
Yeah.
Dope.
So, yeah, sorry, that was a discussion, but I probably interrupted your thought.
Oh, what I was gonna say was the point with the food and having the people being like starving and trying to steal to survive. That was like it showed John Spartan's like moral compass, where he's like, I take down bad guys and like serial murderers. I don't take down people that are just starving, trying to like feed themselves. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then that's when they're like, oh, maybe this guy isn't as like, we need to take him out because he's not going to do what we want him to do. Because the whole main focus is getting the Edgar guy out of the picture because
Yes.
he's causing all like the noise and the ruckus.
I love how on point his name is, the Edgar Friendly.
Edgar friendly.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I do like
Yeah.
that they make it clear that the Demolition Man he's about, I'll destroy anything. I don't give
Yeah.
a shit what's in my way as long as it's a thing. I will sacrifice millions of dollars in things
But no
for a
people.
single child.
Yeah.
And he fucked up once with the passengers, even though technically they reveal later on in the movie that they were already dead.
Yeah.
That,
He showed his hand.
He showed his hand that Simon actually set him up for that.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that he didn't really try all that hard to find the people is like, you're still a fucking dick. Like, you still deserve to
Well,
be
at
kicked.
that point, it's kind of like in the beginning when they were first fighting, I'm like, this is very much reminiscent of like a Joker and Batman relationship, it seems.
Yes.
Where he's finally going to catch him. So he's kind of putting caution to the wind because he's like, I've been chasing you for years. I'm finally going to take you down.
Yes.
And he's like, I swear nobody was in there.
I got a lot of Jason Todd vibes from it. I got a lot of
Yeah.
80s Batman.
Yeah, it
He's in
definitely
the
was
warehouse.
Batman-esque,
The bomb
yeah.
is going to go off. He's too late to stop the crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of 80s Batman comic vibes. It's totally...
For sure.
I don't know. I think John Spartan, despite being called the Demolition Man, right around the second half of this film, just tries to rebuild his life. And he kind of sheds his Demolition Man skin. And no, for real, though. Like, he tries to put his shit back together.
I did love your comment at some point later on in the movie. You're like, Demolition Man, more like Reconstruction Man.
Renovation.
Renovation.
Man.
I'm just thinking of Mike Holmes. Spartan on Spartans.
He also adapted to the lifestyle pretty quick because at one point before going to the museum, he's like, I'm just going to stop asking. And then he just started absorbing the world,
Yeah.
being like, I'm just going to accept that this is just my life now because there's no going back. So, yeah, I'm going to learn how to drive your car. I'm going to learn how everything works. And, like, he's not making fun of the way they're talking and stuff like that. Like, he kind of, like, mellows out. And
Yes.
it kind of accepts everyone around him and isn't such a dick to them anymore.
I feel like he almost becomes less of a cartoon character.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
he
a
gets
little
serious.
less of a Clint Eastwood kind of thing. And it's weird because the entire time we're sitting there and I keep kind of looking over at you and like nudging and being like, hey, this is kind of fucked up. It doesn't make any sense. And you're like, it's called Demolition Man. And I'm like, you're right. Never mind. But also like they adapt so quick.
Yeah.
There's moments where the bad habits kick in. Right, where he's just firing bullets fucking in every direction, even though it's a limited resource.
Apparently not, because they never ran out of bullets.
Apparently not.
Apparently they keep entire multiple clips in a museum.
Apparently,
Yeah.
right? It's an entire... We could fight a war with that museum. Just the two characters adapting to the future tech blows my mind because I see my dad struggle with a cell phone.
Ah. So here's the deal.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean to throw rocks at anybody, but we all have somebody who's just like a little illiterate when it comes to technology, and all of a sudden you've got like Sylvester Stallone, who probably had a cell phone from 1990. Did they even have cell phones from
Not
93?
really.
No, not really.
Really early cell phones.
Yeah, like I'm thinking of Die Hard, where they have the cell phone in the car kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was still very expensive.
Yeah.
And I don't think Demolition Man is gonna, on a cop's salary, gonna know or afford a fucking...
No, so I think and I think they make a clear statement with Simon,
Right.
but I think they allude a bit to it with Spartan, John Spartan.
Well, yeah, they try to clip his wings.
Yeah, so but specifically for Simon, they make it very clear that he was injected with the knowledge of the future.
Yeah.
Which is why he's able to show up and he's just using computers left, right, and center because they kind of matrixed him and like,
Yeah.
oh, I know hacking.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that's what they did for him. So at first, when you first start watching, you're like, this is weird. How does he know how to do this? But that becomes an intrigue point. And I kind of like that. Sylvester Stallone's character, John Spartan, figures he has to figure things out, but I suspect that they gave him a little bit of knowledge, but it might have been a little out of date, or he's not as infused, so it kind of took time to build up. But I highly suspect they injected, kind of like they injected knitting into him, that they injected a bit of here's how to understand certain things, but they didn't give him everything.
I don't know, man, because like even I get it and I see you on that, but it's also like, where the fuck are we going? Oh, we're going to this building.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been asleep for 30 years. Where is that building? Do you know what? Like little shit like that. It just was weird for me. just to sit there and go, oh, he knows exactly where everything is. And he knows exactly where, like, this and that. He knows
I don't
exactly.
think he knew where everything was. I think he just went, someone went, oh, you'd only find the gun in a museum. And he kind of went,
Right.
well, we're going to go to a museum. And then they went, okay, let's drive you to a museum.
Sure.
I didn't have a problem with that because he was always with someone
Yeah.
to direct him.
Yeah.
True. And
That
the
is fair.
car
He's
is
had a
literally
handler.
like a Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all driving Teslas.
Which I love. Instead of having one screen, they have 4 screens that show the same image.
Just to overcomplicate and cyberpunk the hell out of it.
Also, the technology in this was pretty accurate to our technology with like it was like an archaic like Zoom meeting with all the singular faces on the chairs.
The board members.
Yeah, I'm like, that's Zoom. And that's like the phonotech or photo op or whatever was like FaceTime.
Yep.
So they weren't off. Like there was no cell phones.
It's so
but
weird.
They had everything else.
Yeah.
It's so weird when you see a movie like this where it predicts the technology of the next generation.
But this was really accurate.
Yeah, it was really accurate, but also at the same time, like a little inaccurate. Like they're like, oh, everyone's going to have a computer screen in their computer or in their car. But they don't realize it's just going to be like, oh, they had the handhelds when they were walking around. And they don't realize, no, you're just going to have a square. Like they're just a little off on like how it was going to be formatted.
Well, the hand chips, that is happening.
Yeah.
Like you can get like a chip that has like your debit card and stuff.
Yep.
Like I'm sure there's like an elite, group of people that do have that already, which is terrifying.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I like I said, people think it's prophetic. So I do have to ask an important question.
All right.
And I think you've kind of shown your hand here. Do you think this movie, written, directed, all steps, is a smart movie with intention and purpose? And it's meant to, hey, there's a statement of action we're making fun of the action to a degree, but also we're indulging in it? Or is this just a dumb action movie that got lucky and people see intelligence in it? What do you think?
I think personally, we have a film that had some good ideas, but that also might not have been the director as much as it had been how many rewrites this piece of paper went through.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it was built in a shop, right? Like a prop department, like an ILM walking through and being like, oh yeah. And you know, it'd be cool. This, and there's stuff that these guys have been working on, or they've had model kits, or they have had a budget where they have no budget, and this is what they have to work with.
Yep.
So go to Home Depot and just weld shit together and stick wires on it and springs and call it a fluzel. And what does the fluzel do? We'll get to that later, just like the 3 seashells.
Yep.
And then I think if the more you watch it, your mileage may vary, but I feel like it's the second half, to tell you the truth. I feel like it's the later. I think it's good, but it isn't great. And I feel like people are connecting too many dots to call it like fantastic, because it leans so heavily into, we have Stallone. What are his strengths?
Yep.
Right. Have you ever seen Rambo?
No.
Okay. So I'm not going to spoil Rambo or anything like that.
He kills a bunch of people. I know that.
First blood. But he does this beautiful speech near the end of it. But the problem is it's Stallone.
Yeah.
Right? And he's great, and he's got one-liners in this. He doesn't have fucking, like, full-on speech, like, rally the troops.
Yeah.
We
Doesn't
rely
have a
on Sandra
deep
Bullock.
dialogue.
We rely on, right. You know what I mean? Like, if we wanted that, Wesley Snipes would have killed his old partner, or, like, the old black guy.
Yep.
He would have went in, shot up the police station, and then left and been like, haha, you'll never catch me, kind of thing.
Yep.
And then you would have had a little bit more of a heartfelt moment of like, hey, I was your only connection to the past. I am now dead. Sandra Bullock now has to usher you into the future.
Yep.
And this is where we're headed. And we didn't get any of that.
Yep.
So I feel like if it had, unfortunately, this is because it's already a long movie. It's like almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
hour and
you
55.
told me it was an hour and
115 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still a long movie. If we had an extra 20 minutes in this film, I like Demolition Man, in a way, this is a movie that needs an extra 30 minutes. But because it's an action movie,
yeah,
and that budget doesn't allot that extra 30 minutes, because pew pew, bang bang,
yep,
it starts to fall short.
Yep.
And that's where I feel like it falls into like it's kind of a bad movie kind of thing.
All right, Amanda, your turn. Is it a dumb movie that got lucky and people put in stuff into it, inject intelligence into it? Or is it a smart movie that is trying to indulge in dumb action?
I say that either they really wanted to make like a dumb action movie because, like you said, they had Sylvester Stallone, so like, hey, we needed to have a lot of guns and shooting, but like also it is very much at the same time a sci-fi movie where it is like, you know, future tech and kind of dystopian in a way, but like just like the opposite of dystopian where it's not dirty and gritty, but it's like, I don't know. It's like they didn't know if they wanted to do like a sci-fi future movie after like, I could see this happening like after like a nuclear bomb goes off and they rebuild, but then the people down underground are all mutated and stuff.
That
like,
is literally the plot of Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
like that's what
literally the plot
I'm
of Judge
thinking of.
Dredd.
This is definitely Judge Dredd vibes, but at the same time, Judge Dredd I wouldn't call a sci-fi movie. But this one, I get sci-fi.
Judge Dredd is definitely
A
sci-fi.
sci-fi movie.
Well-
listen, there's two things Sylvester Stallone loves. It's 1, money, 2, women, 3, a good science fiction
I don't
movie.
know.
A good fur
A
coat too, by the
fur
way.
coat, yeah.
I think it's a very, very dumb sci-fi movie, but a very smart action movie at the same time. It's like it kind of like exists in both
That's fair.
worlds. Like it couldn't be a smart sci-fi and it couldn't just be like a dumb action because then it wouldn't have done anything. It needed to kind of like blend together in a weird way.
It didn't ask enough questions to be a smart sci-fi.
Yeah.
It didn't. Sorry, not ask. It didn't answer enough questions.
Yeah.
It didn't answer it. It asked a ton of fucking questions. This movie asked a ton of questions. Fascism, liberalism, no guns. Let's end world hunger. Let's end poverty. It asks all of these questions. We
Yeah.
did it. How? Just like the seashells. But it doesn't answer them.
Yep.
No, but they try to control people too much. And like you said, with having, you're like, there's no way there's just guns with ammo. And it's like, of course there is, because it's such a feared society of police and getting in trouble, because literally if you're a criminal, you're going to get frozen.
Yeah.
So of course people aren't going to go steal stuff.
Which I'm not going to lie, like, unless you have a family that you're going to lose over the course of your incarceration, being frozen and being let go X number in the future is not that big of a punishment. Like, the whole point of incarceration is that you lose your life and time. When you're
Yeah.
frozen, they clearly don't age.
You're gonna live forever. You're gonna work out, and you're gonna read every book because we're gonna program it in your head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They reprogram.
But it's like,
so-
okay, this isn't that bad. Like, I'm sorry, but that's, if I didn't have a family and like I wasn't going to
Yeah.
lose my wife to the time, it's really not that bad of a
But then
of a
they're
punishment.
using those people to fund the civilization 70 years down the line
Yeah.
with their ideals.
Yep.
Because only certain people are allowed to have babies. So it's like, what are you going to do with an aging population? You just freeze them, reprogram them, and put them into the future.
Yep.
I feel like even like a Minority Report, which once again answers questions. They could have had a scene in this where Stallone's getting frozen and then an old lady's getting thawed out or frozen.
Yeah.
He's getting out and she's getting frozen because it's like, well, you know, she shoplifted.
Yeah.
What'd she steal? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, whatever.
It was
What is
all,
she
like,
getting? Well,
young
she's getting this
people,
time.
Yeah.
And it would have been just fucking absurd.
Yeah.
And that would have been like the, wait a minute, she ran a red light kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, yep, she's getting
Another layer of the absurdism.
absurdism of the fascism of the, hey, don't slip up because if you're a criminal, this is the easiest and simplest way to deal with you.
Yeah.
Which is to put you in a block of ice and put you on a shelf.
It didn't actually show them arresting anybody
No.
other than trying to get Simon. But obviously the older guy was like, or the chief was like using him as a pawn. And apparently didn't think that he would just pass a gun off to somebody else. And, you know, that whole section was just so weird.
Well,
it was weird.
Yeah.
It asks the question, but it doesn't answer it of like, okay, so if Sandra Bullock's character is driving into work in the morning and she calls in to check in because she has to call in like 3 times, they say,
Yeah.
nothing has happened. Oh, the same thing that happens every day, nothing. So why is there a police department?
It's to enact that fear of like,
Why?
you
Why?
will-
It's a fear thing. Yeah,
Why?
she's
will
right.
find you.
It's they are not there to actually do anything, which is the joke that one of the cops said, which is, we're cops. We're not prepared to. We're not
Right.
trained to deal with this.
Yeah.
They're not there to actually do anything. They're there to look threatening.
Right.
Yeah.
Then have robots or something.
Yeah, but
Have-
this isn't a
have-
world with robots.
But the real people that you have to be afraid of are the scientists and like the doctors that'll literally just like, you know, claw you up and then freeze you.
Yeah.
Really? Can you sound any more like an anti-vaxxer? Some scientists and doctors.
No, but they're just pulling.
They're getting
the
in your
strings,
home!
Right? It's like him and his like shareholder meeting,
Yeah.
and whoever those people were, we never really met.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean, where it's like one more layer of cake.
Yeah.
One more layer of cake of shareholders or how fucked up the control is, or like them monitoring everyone, like you said, like a hamster's cage, or just like, hey, this isn't working.
I
or
kind of
this
like
is
the
working.
mystique of it makes me, because it's what intrigued me when I was younger watching this, of, well, what there's more. There's got to be more. I was hungry for more of that world. And that hunger led nowhere.
Well, because there isn't.
There
any.
isn't
There
more
isn't
to
any.
it.
There
But-
isn't. They're like, go read a Philip K. Dick book or something, right?
But it connected me to the movie in a way of like, it made me think about the movie, not because the movie was amazing. Like clearly these plot holes were there because they just didn't have time or didn't care to expand on them. It wasn't some grand design of look how smart we are and, you know, incorporating you into the movie. It's just, it's an action movie.
Right.
They spent the budget on explosions,
Right.
not on exploring the political government structure.
Right. Well, I mean, let's segue just a quick one on here and go on a tangent, but like, look at RoboCop.
Okay.
First thing they would have done if Murphy was a success is make another RoboCop or make 5 more RoboCops. They wouldn't have had. We have one RoboCop. Don't break him.
Yeah.
They would have been like, nope. Okay, bye, police force. We need 100 RoboCops.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I don't know.
And like you mentioned too, now all those people are just dead.
The prisoners?
Yeah, they all just exploded, so they can't. And they
Well, there's no more crime.
But no, cause
There is one lady
No.
who shoplifted and is now dead because she was cryo frozen,
Right.
and she did not deserve to be dead in
No.
cryo.
But I'm skipping ahead here to the end. But I want to see what happens like the week after this movie, meaning they took out they took out the Dr. Cocteau or whatever, so he's out. He's the one that was leading the fascist idealistic.
Regime.
So
yeah.
you take out the surveillance, you take out everything, you instate the guy from underneath to be in charge.
Who has no concept of how the upstairs works.
So
And
what-
he's also made the statement of I'm not a leader.
I don't have dental.
and now it's like, okay, people can kiss again, people can like have babies. Like this society that they built is not
Stable.
built for that.
Yeah.
So what chaos happens after this?
And I think that's
Because their civilization would just fall apart.
so. And I think that's the juxtaposition. Is
By
why that's
healing
why.
the world, they broke it. They demolished it.
Well, nobody knows.
Ladies and
how
gentlemen, this
to-
episode has been brought to you by Taco Bell, our only dystopian fast food chain in our future.
I think that's the juxtaposition of this, where a lot of people go. They always lean into it's a dumb movie or it's a smart movie. Every review, every discussion I've ever had is usually on one side of the fence or the other.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
I pose that what happened was the original writer. It was a dumb movie.
Yep.
Like I said, this thing was inspired by a Sting song called Demolition Man. So it was written up as old cop frozen in ice.
Yeah.
That was the original plot. And it expanded into an action, a dumb action, just like everything else. And then someone wrote a little bit of comedy in there, which is why we get our comedy. And then I think right around the end was a little bit of intelligence thrown in there, by a combination of the director, because I think we see that the director has vision, has an ideology, and I think he injected a bit himself because he helped with like the last minute writing as well, the last what's the word I'm looking for? The last draft.
Yeah.
And so I think between him and the last writers, they took a dumb movie and made it a little bit smarter,
Right.
which is why you have that juxtaposition and why it fits so well in the middle. As this, but the problem with it is, like you said, it's like there's a lot of things that don't make sense. Yes, I get your ideology, but also you make fun of the action movies.
Right.
You make fun of the police, but also you're making a movie that indulges in action.
Right.
And indulges and propagates police.
Right.
So it's like, what are you trying to say here?
Don't smoke, but look how
Yeah.
cool I am smoking this cigarette.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. And I think that's why it attracted me to it in a weird way. It's like, it doesn't know, it's trying to say something, but it doesn't know what it's trying to
It's
say.
like contradicting itself
Yeah.
in every sense of the word.
Well,
the
they
whole
have
movie.
they have moments in it itself where they make fun of previous action movies. right?
Oh,
They joke about
literally.
Schwarzenegger. They
Yeah.
joke about Jackie Chan. They joke about all of these.
I think they have a Lethal Weapon 3 poster.
They have a Lethal-
Was there
right.
ever a Lethal Weapon 3? I think that was the joke, is that there wasn't one.
I thought there was.
Oh, maybe it was. Okay.
It hadn't come out till later, but yeah.
Okay. So maybe it wasn't out at the time of this movie.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to poke fun at it. It's the same thing with Evil Dead, where Evil Dead has the Hills Have Eyes poster in the basement.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
To
yeah.
say that's not real. This is a real horror movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where Demolition Man's like, those aren't action movies. We have way more blood, way more explosions, and way more guys with muscles that can't speak English.
yeah, yeah.
I
Right.
have to say one thing that I thought of, and going back to like the posters and how she's like, hey, look at my room. I made the perfect 19th century room. And all I can think of is like, oh God. So this is like if a Gen Z now, how everyone's obsessed with the 90s, was talking to someone like our age from the actual 90s, being like, look, I made a room, and it's all just like blow up furniture and like jelly things and like Backstreet Boy stuff. It'd just be them trying to.
I'm sorry to tell you, but I know that some of us have a very strong connection to like the style of the 80s. So we're no different. We
No.
have this love of a previous generation.
But if we were frozen as like 20-year-olds in 1993, and now a Gen Z from here
Yeah.
was trying to recreate that, what would that look like?
Yeah.
I would have
And I would have been like, I want to murder you. Like, what is all this stuff?
paid twice the ticket price for this film if when she's like, yes, I have set you up in our apartment down the hall. Excuse me.
Didn't get to it at the
Okay.
time.
Oh, quicker on the. Okay. I had set you up in an apartment down the hall, but don't worry. I brought in some of my collection to make you feel comfortable. Right?
And it's all 80s action.
No, it's fucking it's Arnold Schwarzenegger action figures,
Yeah.
and it's a fucking race car bed. I would have paid twice the amount of
Oh my
money
God, yeah, she
if
decked out
Sylvester
his.
Stallone walks into this apartment, takes his clothes off to like go shower and be like, "Oh my God, women, blah blah blah," and then it's just a Fisher Price race car bed in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
After she kicks him out. for
After
not
she kicks
wanting-
him out to having sex, to be like, "All right, cool, go sleep in your apartment."
That's great.
And it's just the shit she would have been able to get over.
That would have been hilarious.
You know what I
That
mean?
would have been great.
Big Arnold Schwarzenegger poster on the wall or something.
One of the cardboard cutouts of him, like in a movie
or
from a
he
movie.
like flinches and it's him. Oh, that would have been amazing.
I think one of the best to go.
cut, and then it's facing the opposite way, so it's not watching him while he sleeps. You know what I mean?
I did love the
Yeah.
scene where he goes in and he like falls in a step forward because he goes into like the conversation
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
I kind of like that where it's like a moment of him just like awkwarded out by this place. Like, oh right, I'm in the future.
Lights,
Yeah.
right? Instead of like hitting a switch or whatever.
Like, I absolutely love it. Real quick, of going back, kind of tying it to the real world. In Expendables 2 or 3, I think
Okay.
it was 3 when Wesley Snipes showed back up. They broke him out of prison. And they're like, "What are you in for?" And he said tax evasion in that movie.
No shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
fun.
that's
It's a fun little
That's
Wesley Snipes joke.
fucking funny. Wesley Snipes forever to be in prison.
Well, you made the comment too when he got kicked out for not wanting VR sex with his possible daughter.
It was his daughter.
But that you made the comment that when he sat down to look at the security tape, that a flash of like a FaceTime came up of like a naked lady, and she's like, "Oh, it's wrong number," and then you're like, "Wait, so the world isn't as innocent? Like there's ways that people have like figured out how to still do the bad stuff without getting caught."
People are gonna blast ropes no matter what dystopian future you're
I
living in.
I never understood that because, as far as I'm concerned, that was part of the dumb part of this movie.
You get one
They
breast.
need-
You get one breast.
You get one. You get.
It flashed a little bit in like the VR like section. Like it
I
showed
did see that.
It showed one scene of her like chest, but it didn't show her whole.
I thought I saw a nip
Was.
in that.
yeah, it was
couple
like
flash of a
she
nip.
was like covered, but it was just enough to be like, was that a boob?
Yeah, it was like the cable TV porn when we were kids in the middle of the
Watching it
night,
through the static.
watching it through the static. Ah, that was a boob.
Yeah.
But I found that really weird. I never liked that part of the movie because you're right. It's really juxtaposition to the rest of the statement of, first of all, is everything sexualized or is it not? So the fact that if she had shown up and just been naked, I can understand that because it's no longer sexualized. Not bothered, right? But the fact that she went, oh my God, and hit herself. Or if she was fully clothed. Either one of those would have worked for the statement.
Yeah.
But the fact that they went that middle ground and had her cover up as if nakedness was something to be protected, it kind of ruined the statement they were making.
I think it's just the embarrassment, and also like, there it is. There's a naked lady. You almost had a naked lady. All you want is a naked lady, and you have VR sex, and you almost threw up.
Yeah.
Instead of you almost threw up, she didn't finish. You got kicked out, and then you seen a naked lady, and she hung up on you quick. Like,
I wonder who she was supposed to be talking to, because she was like mid question, being like, so I had a thought, and then it's like, oh no.
I assumed she pushed the auto dial to whoever she was. Like, she was talking to someone, hung up on them, went for half an hour to go do something else, and then called them. Went, oh, I had an idea on the conversation we were previously going on. But
that's very Logan's Run.
It just doesn't work.
Never seen
like
the movie.
You said, there's no tie into the movie other than showing that it's not so innocent.
it was weird. I felt, I felt like it was just because of the rating they got, they were allowed to show a boob. So they goddamn right got that boob in there.
That's right. You might as well. You have it. You might as well. And what a fun, like, hey, this is, they're weird vertical TVs, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
Logan's Run, and this doesn't spoil anything for Logan's Run, but one of the characters they meet, there's like a mirror, almost like a TV, and he wants to like fuck a chick. So he goes on and picks his type, right? Brown hair, blue eyes, not brown, like, you know what I mean? Like, he picks a type, right? Dude or lady, and she steps through the fucking mirror because it's just like Tinder, but it's a mirror.
Oh,
and they just and that's how Logan's Run is, kind of thing.
Oh, that's
it's a weird, like, artsy fartsy, like, it's a good movie, but it's artsy fartsy as all hell. But yeah, Adam, go through the plot for us real quick before we get into does it hold up?
Yeah, sure. You want me to give you the long version?
Or we've kind of danced through it. If you want to. We did a lot of it.
We kind of did a lot of it. Basically, in 1996, a psychopathic career criminal, Simon Phoenix, kidnaps a busload of hostages, takes refugees on an abandoned building. The Demolition Man, John Spartan, through chasing him, causes a lot of collateral damage and is blamed for the murder or death, manslaughter of 30 to 40 people.
You would have been off the force the first time that happened.
I don't think he had never killed anyone. I think he had just caused a monumental amount of
damage.
Yeah, monetary damage.
He would have been off the force the first time that happened.
Oh, probably.
You blew up
I need to go back to the naked lady.
Oh.
So her name is Brandy Ledford. She was in
the
Modern
actress's
Family.
name is?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was in Modern Family. She was also Doyle in Andromeda. And she was the 1992 Pet of the Year for Penthouse magazine.
Oh, I'm like, Pet of the Year.
So I think she was just a super hot supermodel at
the
time.
They got a boob.
Like,
They need a boob.
She wasn't like, a Playboy bunny, but she was like, she was only 25 back in 1992.
She's a good looking lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was in Andromeda.
Yeah, so it sounds like she was just, we needed a boob. We were allowed a boob. We got a boob.
Yeah, and she just so happened to be like, she was in Rat Race too.
You do get a lot of those sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway,
for sure.
Especially the era of the 90s where it's just like, well, right?
She might have been dating somebody too. Like,
that's
who
true.
knows?
Probably Stallone.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So after the assumed cause of manslaughter of 30 to 40 people, because now it's no longer you're destroying buildings, it's you've killed people.
Yeah.
Basically, they put him in prison with Simon, which is cryo freezing.
Which is wild.
That he got put in.
No, just cryo freeze.
I think it's a weird.
Like, they would have just electrochaired him.
No, not. They would have electrochaired Simon.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What are we doing? What are we fucking doing?
Which is weird, yeah, because you're right. Back in the day, they were wild.
What are we fucking doing? They would have electrified his ass so quick.
I assume what happened is they didn't care,
I mean?
and they used him as a test subject. He was one of the early ones to be cryoed.
That would have been an incredible line.
Yeah. Well, we don't care about his life, so we're not even willing to.
Right.
We're
the
gonna.
court decided that we're gonna
use you as a human trial.
Trial.
If it goes wrong, who cares? We tortured this guy.
Yep.
No big deal.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That would have made sense.
And it also would have been like, oh no, are they a little fascist? Are they mad scientists?
Yeah.
Oh no, our hero is trapped in carbonite. Like, it would have just been like, oh yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. So the leader of the new fascist regime, He wants to kill the leader of the one rebellion group that's left over to stop his rule.
Yeah.
And so he pre-programs Simon Phoenix, the mass murderer from the previous, with all the skills needed to do the job and the inability to kill him, which is hilarious. It's very RoboCop, like directive cannot kill him. Very,
Yeah.
Well,
very
it's
RoboCop.
Asimov's code almost.
Asimov's code, yeah, exactly. And so he gets him unthawed, gives him the secret to get out so he could break out, and kind of mentally programs him to go kill this rebel leader.
Yeah.
However, this Simon Phoenix is a agent of chaos, and it kind of goes sideways.
Yeah.
So in order to, what is it? In order to take down a psycho, you have to
Send in a maniac.
Send in a maniac to kill a maniac,
kill a maniac.
to create another maniac. You want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah.
Ugh,
So
Stallone.
they freeze out, they unfreeze John Spartan to deal with him.
How does the bad fascist man, Daddy, how does bad fascist man, and then that's his hard stop question mark. No, but like, how does bad fascist man know that he needs a killer, and it like fucking picks? Because you got to assume you don't just plug in and download the guy's brain full of knowledge.
What do you mean?
Hey, Simon Phoenix is in my care. We're going to slowly start drip feeding him information and hope to God no one catches on.
Yeah.
So one day when we release him, he'll be the perfect
I think they were all
obedient killing
in on
machine.
it. That's the
That's
thing.
yeah.
That's
Were
why
they all in
scientists
on it?
were probably knowledgeable.
Obviously,
miss-
not the
did I
wardens
miss-
wasn't and stuff
Because
like
I
that.
feel like
Oh,
I
yeah.
missed the part where they're like, oh, they're rubbing their hands together, but like how all
Well,
in on it we are.
Maybe
Kinda thing.
maybe they were doing it in a way that only he knew, or he had like one person on the inside that was just focusing.
Okay.
Because like
This
when they
is
had
actually
the-
a lot simpler than you give it credit for. You're thinking
when they had the
you're making an
Evangelion
ocean out of a
moment.
spoon.
When they had the Evangelion moment where he's talking to like the computer faces.
Yeah.
Were they talking about like, hey, can you get that collar on your dog because he's going to run rampant across the city? Or was
No, I don't think they knew about what he was doing
then how the fuck were they all rubbing their hands together to make
because
sure?
they were going to make money with this guy. They knew he was corrupt in some way.
Yeah.
But I don't think they knew he did the Simon thing specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they were leaders of other main cities.
Yeah.
And he was working with them. And because remember, he was sort of the architect. He's not the full-blown, undisputed ruler,
Right.
but he is the architect of the new world.
Right.
It might be like take care of the problem, but we don't want to know.
It could have been that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Get in the Ava, Shinji.
I think he was more like, I'm going to take care of the problem and you'll all make money. So just shut your fucking mouths.
Right.
Ticket. But
Take it.
I took it as what happened is this guy is the architect of this perfect utopia.
Yeah.
And he kind of has hero status. Not just kind of hero, like super
A
duper.
bit
He
of God
saved the
status. Yeah,
world.
a bit of God status on that one.
Definitely
Yeah.
God status. So no one could conceive of this super nice guy who created the nice utopia to be doing something so evil.
Yeah.
And it's how many times have we been in a world where there's someone we thought, wow, that guy's Tom Hanks. He's the nicest guy in the world. Everyone, and then you find out,
No, not Tommy Hanks.
no, don't tell me anything about Tom. But like, we're all kind of, there's parts of us are like waiting for the shoe to drop.
The burbs
for
are
Tom
real?
Hanks. Yeah, we're all kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, and then he has some Mexican family that he's keeping Ezra Miller style in his ranch.
Jesus.
Y'all don't know.
Wow, yeah.
You got a friend in me, and I've got a friend in you.
Yeah, but we've all been fooled by the person that we think is nice and pure to be not that.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
these people were all fooled by him. They didn't question. He went down there like, yes, I am the fascist leader, and I am just going to push a few buttons on this computer. Totally legit. And they go, absolutely. You're a perfect human.
They have no reason
to doubt it.
Yeah.
And they have only reasons to think that he's doing it out of good. So I don't think it's that complex. I think it's just people trust him inherently. Oh, he killed that guy? Or not kill, but he put
Yeah.
that guy in prison? Clearly that guy deserved it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wacky.
It's like the meme of like, oh, what about that guy? Oh, he was a nice guy. What about the people he murdered? What murders?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Obviously, can't do as good of
Continue
a
with the
New
plot.
York accent, but
So it turns out, after bringing up Simon, it turns out the cops cannot deal with this level of violence. They're not trained. They've lost the ability to handle violent occurrences.
Yeah.
So they need to unfreeze a maniac, John Spartan, to go up against the maniac.
Fucking hate that line. It's so bad.
It is so bad.
It's such a tagline for a poster. Listen, sit down now. We're going to put this on the poster. We're going to have a one maniac kill another maniac. It'll be maniac in the seats. Ticket sales.
I forget his name, but it was his old friend that was like, as soon as they seen the name Phoenix, as far as like the interview, he's like, that's the guy, and this is who you need to get. And they're like, really?
Pull
and
up the
like,
file.
Yeah.
We don't have paper. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, yeah.
So over the course of this time, John Spartan has to adjust to this new fascist utopia where swearing is illegal. Anything bad for you is illegal. That's meats, that's salts, that's cigarettes, that's caffeine,
Anything fun.
coffee, anything fun.
Anything that starts with an F.
Anything that starts with an F.
Except...
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode has been brought to you by Taco Bell. Taco Bell, the last fast food restaurant, the winner of the fast food wars in our dystopian future.
So I love you guys. So he goes through antics of trying to chase him down. He discovers that the world isn't as utopia as people keep talking about it, that there is a resistance group and a subgroup that aren't getting love, aren't getting cared for, aren't getting, those groups that aren't really included in the utopia. And it turns out he's not just a blow up things for blow up guy. He values no object, but he values life. And so he ends up teaming with the underground people. And Simon turns out to be a wild card, as no one would expect, and he kills the fascist leader who hired him in the first place. And now it's back to Simon and John Spartan. And they have a epic battle right at the end.
In the museum.
Yeah, they had that
Which
great
was
museum.
the dumbest fucking thing, because we go down.
Oh, their first fight.
The first fight,
yeah.
The first fight, because they do have the thing, but the first fight, they have it in the museum. They have this gun down, and then they fall into sunken L.A.
Yeah.
And I could have swore he was going to go and try to get cigarettes out of the convenience store that he gets thrown through.
I think
because he gets the power gun.
It was a liquor store. Yeah, he could have got...
I assume all that stuff was taken out and put in the museum, because it sounds like what happened was during the earthquake, this got buried. Mm-hmm. And then archaeologists unburied it.
Yeah.
Opened it up, put a museum on top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, built it already.
And then they had neon lights down there. So they I'm assuming when they found it,
Also
the neon lights weren't
working
working.
plumbing.
Working plumbing.
Oh,
Fire hydrant.
Yeah, why is
was
that fire
still-
hydrant so hot and wet?
Yeah, you're right. There was no need in a display.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
It's
lot
like
of
they
make any
didn't
sense.
realize that was still attached, or they didn't know how. I don't know.
Well, it's a city on top of a city. Welcome to a city on top of a city.
Welcome to a city on top of the city. Ladies and gentlemen, a city on top of the city. So what do I want to ask right around the room real quick? If we round about, does the movie hold up?
Am I going first?
Sure.
Okay.
No, Amanda. No,
Okay,
go
all right.
ahead.
I actually think that the movie has gotten better in time.
Yeah.
I think it not only holds up, it is actually, just because it's air quotes prophetic nature, whether through accident or whatever the case is, it has actually aged better. Some movies don't age well. Some maintain what they have.
Okay.
This one improved.
Okay.
Did you finish the plot?
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's an action
They shoot
movie.
each other.
They shoot each other.
And they kiss at the end.
They do kiss.
They break the law.
They break the
law.
ice and they kiss.
Well, they clearly talked about the theme of the movie was
Yeah.
at the end was you take the chaos of the old days and sort of the restricted nature of the new age, and the right answer is a balance.
Gotcha.
One way is chaos and horrible. The other way is too lawful, too restricted, fascist, and you have to find a middle ground. That's the moral of the story.
They're going to unfreeze Jeffrey Dahmer for no reason.
I do love that throwaway
And
line.
They are going to gun each other down in an ice chamber, in which case we get the "Is it cold in here?" quote, which was a quote from the beginning of the movie before he gets almost set on fire, and then everything gets turned to ice.
Was there like a haha nice?
There was
Good memory. It was a good memory.
There was. Wesley Snipes was about half frozen. Sylvester Stallone put his gun down, walked over, high-fived him, walked back over, picked his gun back up. That keeps fucking happening in this movie.
Yeah.
Stallone, I don't know if you guys caught that, but he'll be like, "All right, cool, I got this hallway," and then he'll put his gun in his pants, turn around, pull his gun out of his pants and then run down a flight of stairs and then put his gun back into his pants.
No, I didn't notice any
And
of
then
this.
keep running. And then he'll
It's
get
as
to
if
his
that, like,
door.
putting it
He didn't
away
know
was
what
a
to
cool
do.
looking scene.
He didn't know what to do with the gun. So he had so many guns. And at one point, he's just pulling out another gun, looking around, putting the gun back, opening a door, pulling out another gun, looking around, putting the gun back. And then at one moment, he doesn't have guns in his hands.
That's funny.
And I don't think he had a direction. So he just pulls out another gun, and it's just so like, and it just keeps happening in the movie.
So
It's just
apparently,
so stupid.
there was a very decent amount of what's what I'm looking for? Making up on the spot. Improv. Thank you. There is a decent amount of improv in this movie, especially apparently Wesley Snipes' style
Yeah,
is he doesn't like memorize the script like everyone else does.
doesn't do his taxes either. But hey,
So he'll show up and he'll kind of give a roundabout of what he was supposed to say.
Guess at one
it's a
point,
lot of
I
improvisation.
was saying like he's having a lot of fun in this because he's just laughing manically.
or
Supposedly
he's giggling because he's like, oh fuck, I threw him through a sheet of glass.
Yeah, apparently he had a great time. Apparently both him and Stallone and Sandra Bullock had a fantastic time on this movie. Apparently, a lot of times when you have these like two action stars who are both kind of the main leads, the main villain, and there can be a lot of butting of heads. Apparently, they were very respectful of each other, and they had a great time. And Sandra Bullock, there was a different actor for the first 2 days of shooting, and apparently she was let go due to creative differences, aka her and Stallone did not get along.
Oh, like no chemistry.
Not just no chemistry.
Stallone
the
is-
opposite of no like the opposite
Maybe
of chemistry.
that was who was supposed to be his daughter.
No,
they
that was
okay.
rewritten way before that.
No,
But they got rid of her and they brought in Sandra, and the whole mood, everything changed.
Okay.
But apparently those two got along very well. So he did a lot of because of Snipes' improvisation, Stallone did a lot of improvisation.
So the thing is, and you see this even with the Rocky films, Stallone has an air of charm to him that also comes off nowadays as Stallone charm, but is he hitting on me and is that inappropriate?
I made the exact same comment when I did the review of in one of my older podcasts of Rocky 1.
Rocky 1.
When he put his hand on the wall with Adrian and like kind of cornered her. I'm like, whoa. It was supposed to be at the time like seductive and incentive, but it was not okay.
We're gonna
Have I seen Rocky?
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. I cry every time I watch them. They're
remember.
beautiful
Well,
films.
I didn't
Beautiful
remember that
films.
scene either, and I remember feeling. I was watching it. I'm like, "Ooh, this is
the
uncomfortable."
classic,
That's
like,
like-
I'm gonna cage you in.
Yes, and it was supposed to be sexy and dominant.
They call that book talk nowadays.
Is that what they do?
It's called
Book
book talk.
talk.
I've never heard of that term.
I'll show you book talk. I have one actually.
You can stand on a chair and show them book talk.
I can just like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
that's the
he has
weird-
that vibe.
But that's kind of the hang up of like that was Stallone even through the rest of the Rocky movies.
Yep.
Is like, is it Rocky or is Stallone being Stallone the character of Sylvester Stallone?
Is that
who's,
Stallone
like, really
seeping in,
rich?
or is that character?
Right, and you even see it in appearances on like Saturday Night Live and stuff that he does, where it's not that he's being a creep, but it's like he knows he's hot.
Yeah,
He knows he's fucking Sylvester
Look
Stallone.
at that man.
He knows he's
Like a
got
fine wine.
he knows he's got $1,000 in cash in one pocket
yeah.
and fucking keys to a brand new car in another, and he doesn't give a fuck kind of thing because that's Sylvester Stallone. So
Plus, we got to see a little bit of his dong in
a little
this
bit
movie.
of his dick. Oh yeah, that cannoli.
I don't know if it was. It was. Yeah, I don't know. It was dark.
It was dark. We definitely got a silhouette.
Some Italian
Bushy?
bush.
Yeah, we definitely got some silhouette.
Yeah.
So
Could have been his balls or his dick. It was hard to tell.
that's not
Oh, he was
that's
sitting down. So yeah.
that's not to say Sylvester Stallone isn't a creep or anything like that. We are also speculating a little bit, but I could kind of see how Stallone was like, "Oh, this is the girl who's my love interest. Cool, I'm gonna hit on her, try to make her feel welcome on the first day."
It happens
And
too
that
often.
Is not the right.
Hey,
you know-
how
It
you
happens
doing?
too often in his movies for it not to be him seeping in.
right,
It-
right.
You're absolutely right.
Right, and that. You know what I mean? And also not to shit on Wesley Snipes, but he kind of fucking strikes me as the same thing.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
All those people
That
back
whole
in that
era
were-
of like, yeah, look who I am. I'm fucking Wesley Snipes. He was in a bunch of Academy Award winning movies. He was in a bunch. Like these are great actors.
Blade.
I was gonna talk about his. I was gonna make a joke about. Oh goddamn! I was gonna set it up. I was gonna
Sorry.
set it up. I was gonna say Simon Phoenix sure does use a lot of guns for a man who loves Blade, but it's all right. Sylvester Stallone, total fucking creep.
So
we love him to death.
We love him to death. So do you think this held up?
It's weirdly eerie how accurate it is. And other than like Wesley Snipes doing that really racist
Chinese.
Oh,
Chinese
yeah,
joke,
you forgot about that. Yeah, you
that
did.
was one of the only things that really stood out. Like, ooh, like he just made fun of like a whole family and did like the classic like stereotype of like a Chinese, I'm not gonna do it, but it's like that doesn't hold up anymore.
That was the one thing that, like, for me as well, was like, that's not good.
You're right, it felt weird, but I also put it mentally into a category of, I think I made a statement on a previous episode where if you're using heavy violence, rape, like really brutal stuff to show that this person is clearly
like
a nasty vibe.
File when it was like murder, rape, murder, arson. Right, and it was just like rape was like 8 times.
But if you,
like, oh my god,
I'm okay with making statements like that as long as the goal is look how douchey this guy is. He's a bad person.
He's also
there was
racist.
other stuff he could have did.
Well,
he could have did anything else. That line is not needed.
That was probably an improv.
I think that's why it feels weird.
That's why.
It's because they show that. They clearly show he's chaotic.
Yep.
They clearly show he's an asshole because he just randomly bashes some dude's guy like, whoops, my bad, against the thing just for fun.
Right.
You're right. It wasn't needed. I think that's why it felt weird.
Yeah. It's nowadays that wouldn't like anything else in this movie, sure. But that just was like, what do you do? Like, why was that even in there?
Yeah.
Other than to show he's just an asshole.
That's fair.
I think it shows he's an asshole. And then like it just does show the clothing and costume design, very Asian inspired and stuff.
Oh yeah,
right. I'm gonna assume it looked like a lot of white people, it looked like a lot of Chinese people, it looked like a lot of Hispanic people because that's California.
Yeah.
That's that area. The one thing before we get back to does it hold up, and I'm sorry I cut you off. You did see the costuming being these wide, almost like rice farmer hats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this doesn't like it's poncho. It's like Mexican style ponchos and wide rice farmer hats of the folding of the customs and cultures.
Yeah.
We talked about it even when the film was on, where it's like, hey, everybody's in like ponchos while the sun is up because of the radiation.
Yeah, it's a lore you've built because it makes sense.
The sort of because it's like everybody's out there because at nighttime everyone's in like t-shirts and like skinny shorts and shit, and you see some skin.
Yeah.
But
you got to dress up to go to Taco Bell.
You got to dress up to go to Taco Bell. Speaking of Taco Bell,
oh my
before we get back to you,
Taco
Bell.
This whole thing.
Fair enough. Okay, so.
But also, I was thinking, are they covered up in order to have just like that pure society where there is no temptation? Because without being able to see each other's like bodies, you're not going to want to have like physical intercourse.
I just assume it's a physical. If it was a conscious decision, like a clever conscious decision, which knowing who did the costuming, I think it was. Yeah. I think it's a show that if you notice, all of the outfits are many layers and tight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Broad shoulders, but tight. So I think it's a showing of all of these people are both tight. Their shows manifest their clothes manifest who they are. And it shows that they are tight. Their clothing is generally tight. Also fully covered up. They're not showing who they are as people. They're repressed in that way. And I felt that that's kind of what the clothing was trying to say, but also adding that at this time, it was just coming off of like, the 80s and the 70s where Asia style was the show of the future.
Oh, everyone had the Asian fetish.
Yeah, because he looked like...
the cultural appropriation was real rough.
Every... even like the hotels was all the panel doors with like the white rice paper. And then like he was drinking sake. He had like the multi-layer kimono. They made the joke at the end being like... let's get that like I think his name was Bob. With like when he just went to Edgar's side, being like, "Hey, you're my new boss now." It's like he's like, "Let's get you that kimono. You look like a couch." It's like, oh my god.
And the other statement he makes was, "Choose a hair color, my guy."
Yeah, because there was a lot of two-tone. Yeah, like the fashion was interesting.
Fashion was interesting. So does it hold up?
I think it does in a way. It's a very like it's not like the greatest movie, but it like I said, it has like a through plot. It makes sense. There's good action, other than a couple like of the weird comments, I guess. But yeah, I think it holds up. I think they could even like remake it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
maybe it kind of like how Judge Dredd was remade,
Okay.
like kind of like that style. Like
Interesting.
I think they could take the same plot.
Adi Shankar kind of style.
Yeah, like they could take the same plot of like, nowadays it would actually be accurate if it was based in like the 90s, and then because we're in this future now, pretty much.
If they remade it, I expect they would make it further into the future.
I think
Oh,
they
like
send the guy
the-
back in the time.
So if
They
they
send all their
remade
prisoners
it,
back.
it would be like 2010s, and then it would be based in like 2040,
Something like that.
which would be odd. Yeah.
I also find it
don't know.
really
Do you
weird
think
that it only took 30 years to completely fashionize the entire planet, or at least this segment of the country. I was like, wow, that's really fast.
What, it took Hitler
What's
8?
one generation?
True.
Fucking-
You know what?
Took
You know
Hitler
what?
like 6.5 when you really think about it.
It took him. I think it was already set up for that, but you're right. It was still within a single lifetime between World War One and World. You know what? You're right. I'm wrong. That was very good. Well said. You hit that one
Not
right.
to be thing, but like, fuck, man.
But
No,
like,
you're right, you're
all
right.
the police officers in this were what, between 20 and like 25 and like 40.
Yeah.
And they would have been born after 1990, like, because this was like the beginning of the movie is 1996. So if they were born in 1996, they're the cops. So all they grew up with was this ideology, right? So
Yep.
you only need one big generation to get everyone on your side.
Yeah.
And then like what happened to everyone else? Like there's no old people.
Well, they all agreed. Oh, I think a lot of the people died in the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
it's
then-
like a cleansing.
Yeah, and then
Jesus.
those who didn't remember, those were the people, those were the leaders at the time who went, "Holy shit, this was terrible. I'm willing to give up my freedom." So they made the conscious choice to give up the freedom. Were they listening to the commercials? No, they weren't the ones
Oh
listening
yeah,
to
we
the
didn't
commercials.
talk about the commercials. Yeah.
Like Lena, Lenina. But they were around. They were just sitting in their old folks' home.
Let me ask you a real solid one here for a second before we even move on. Do you think it could be remade?
No,
Fair. Product of the time.
I think so. I think if we have a generation or two, it could. But right here, right now, no, I don't think so.
I think I could see like a mini series.
I think
I could see this be like not that it's be a great show, but I could see this being like something like on an Amazon where it is 2 seasons and we do get a little bit more time, or feels almost like an Altered Carbon kind of thing, where we have a little bit of like, look how fucking wacky this is. Now let's keep going with it to build out the world.
Well, I think they could do the same concept. Maybe
Yeah.
not this exact story, but
Yeah.
they could do this concept. Like I'm sure there has been movies and shows that have done it.
Oh, I love the idea of
well, that's Altered Carbon.
cyberpunk.
Or
Go get the
Futurama.
guy.
That's what Altered Carbon is. Altered Carbon is what you're describing. It's something
Yeah.
similar to this: a guy out of time, a fish out of water in a sci-fi future.
Or
Yeah.
Futurama.
Were the people underground the bad guys?
No, I think they were just trying to survive, and they
But
just
I mean,
kind of
like-
got pushed underground.
But like realistically though, were the people underground the bad guys?
I don't think any individual group of people were the bad guys.
Okay, because you've got traditionally the yes men and the no people.
Yeah.
And you've got people who stormed the fucking Capitol, and you've got like, so where do they fit on the spectrum of?
I think they
like-
just got forced underground because they were not wealthy, or they had a different ideology.
That's what it was. They had it. I think what happened here is you don't have a right and a good and evil per se. What you have is a group of people that were willing to give up ultimate freedom
Right,
for the sake of protection.
right.
But you've got this other faction of people that were not willing to give up freedom
Yeah.
for that ultimate protection.
And they forced
one
them
is not
underground.
evil and one is not good. One is about freedom and not freedom. And this is a discussion about freedom, not good and evil. Obviously, there was an evil character, and that was Raymond.
Yeah.
And even the head of the cop, I don't consider him evil. He's misguided and he's almost the right
He's
wing.
given what he's worked to work with.
Yeah.
That's what he knows, and that's what he was taught.
Yeah, like he was willing to put down the guns when, you know, the people, the underground people came out and worked with. He was angry and a bit awkward. He's that old person who grew up in a certain way, and it's hard for him to change. But that doesn't make him evil. It makes him a product of his environment.
Which is odd because like this whole film is through the lens of enforcement officers and politicians or people in control.
Yeah.
You don't really actually see the everyman unless it's like super poor living in the gutters, or it's we are the law, or we make the law.
But that's what they're trying to show. That's what they tried to show in this movie was the extremes.
Yeah,
Seeing the person in the middle, it was not the point. So they just cut that out and went, here are the two extremes. And the statement is, there could be people in the middle, like all reality is. There's always someone in the middle. But they're showing the extreme here and the extreme here, and they're making a statement of neither are the right way to go.
Right. I just think like it would have, once again, I have one more layer of cake on this. I feel like it would have just shined a light even more on the fascism.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I think like Andor, or even like the latest stuff we've seen in Star Wars, where it's like these Death Star employees or these Imperials just go to desk jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy with a gun in the room, but the Imperials work at a desk.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's odd, man. Like, I just think.
But
like,
I think that's the juxtaposition of this was written as a dumb movie.
Yeah.
And then someone injected intelligence where they could.
Yeah.
And that's where you're seeing that.
Yeah.
We're not sure what to think about this
That's what I
movie.
mean, right?
Is it
Like-
smart or is it dumb? I don't know.
Right, because like even for there to be no accidents and no crime, stuff happens still.
Yep.
People, car accidents, fucking like
They
fires.
clearly do have car accidents because they've got car protection systems.
Right,
So-
right. That's what I mean. So like there would still be a need for police officers in a way, but like it's just
Very minor.
I'm wrapping my head around it too many times, and I know this is the show, but like
You're seeing an ocean in a spoon, my guy.
I am. It's,
For
yeah,
sure,
the
it's
ocean
what we
and
do.
the shot glass, and it's just fucking like what? Like wait a minute now, because like I just feel like like the guy, the everyday people in the middle of this, whether it is the fashion or whatever, but like driving up or being stuck in the middle of like, hey, these homeless people are giving us problems, deal with it.
So I think this lays into part of the director, Marco. One of the statements he makes with a lot of his art pieces, what he contributes a lot to, is culture as a spectacle.
Yeah.
That's one of his big shticks, one of his big lines. And I think this is defined by that, where there are two very strong cultures and they're each a spectacle. He's not interested in the middle ground because that's not a spectacle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He is interested in culture as a spectacle. And I think that's where this comes from, is they went, the middle ground, okay, sure. Does it show and contrast those two? Yes. But in a movie like this, it's not what's fun. It's not what's dumb action. It's not what entertains you. It's not what's spectacle.
Yeah, you're right. No,
Spectacular.
yeah, no, you're right. It's not where they point the camera.
Yeah.
Because it is just everyday stories and it's boring at that point.
Yeah, we've all got that in
Yeah,
our lives. We don't want that in a movie.
No. I just think, but that's the trend that we're in now, though.
Yes.
Within film, where you look at some of the stuff that's being made compared to this within a dystopian lens or whatnot, and it is shining the camera, or at least pointing it in the direction of something that is a little bit more boring and things that are normally normalized to a point where it is overlooked.
Yeah.
And that's where you get some of your more important or dull stories that kind of shine.
Yep.
I'm thinking like a Fargo. I'm thinking anything like the Coen brothers, right? I'm thinking a few episodes of even Disney Star Wars shows where it's just kind of like, we had a conversation over two people just eating cereal.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck. But the tension and the world building and everything that they topple off of that is just so interesting compared to that being just the dumb action movie.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I think you're right. It's the way they wrote it and managed it then versus what themes and ideologies we're into now.
I don't know. It's
a different
interesting.
generation.
You know what I mean? That's all. Just especially looking at this as a piece of media for where we are and where we were going from.
No, you're right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a quick ad break and we all take a deep breath. I want to let you all know this episode is brought to you by Taco Bell. Taco Bell, the last dystopian fast food restaurant and the winner and ruler of the fast food wars. Thank you very much, Taco Bell, for sponsoring this episode.
For our audio-only listeners, every time we talk about Taco Bell, we literally got Taco Bell for dinner.
We feasted at Taco Bell tonight, just like in Demolition Man.
So we have our cups. Just for that, if you want to check it out on YouTube, you will see us with cups this whole entire episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we sing the hot dog song and move on to the greatest mystery of all, the seashells, I want to go around the room real quick for the podcast.
We're going to make sure we get to the sea. We're going to get to the
them, I swear,
seashells.
we're going to get to it.
Just put it in there.
Yeah,
for a second.
we are going to put a pin in it. We're going to do it. I want to get to the podcast. Within the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to abridge those brows and rate those eyebrows. Is there any prop, What's up? You got your fingers up. What's up?
There's 2 eyebrows that are good in this.
There are 2 good eyebrows. Okay, so prop or special effect that stood out within Demolition Man.
Mandy, you want to go? You're gonna.
You're ready.
You're starting.
Oh,
You're
I
ready.
know,
You're
like,
on fire.
I
Let's
I
do
know
this.
we've moved
We're
on
gonna get
from
through it all.
every episode. You're like, no, we're not talking about specifically eyebrows. We've kind of moved on from eyebrows years ago at this point. And I'm like, no, I'm always talking about eyebrows.
You can bring up eyebrows every time. Do
Yeah,
the
that's
eyebrows.
fine. We're
So,
fine.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock's
Yeah.
overplucked 90s eyebrows.
God bless
Yeah.
her.
Thin as can be.
It's like a piano wire. He can kill a man with those eyebrows.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have the lady who was selling the rat burgers. She had a pretty impressive, like, Frida, like,
Yeah,
unibrow.
that was a very Frida.
Very bushy
Okay, I
unibrow.
wasn't going to necessarily bring her up because I thought clearly it went through my head
Right.
for this segment, but I feel like I don't want to insult her as a part because I want to be like, it's an eyebrow. I feel like by bringing it up, I'm almost insulting the actress unless it was makeup. But I don't
Different
feel like it
cultures,
was.
different customs. That's kind
That's
of
popular
beautiful.
That's fine.
But
And-
like for
unibrow is
certain-
back
but I was
in.
worried that I'd be like, those are awesome eyebrows.
Yeah.
To be
No, I'm
clear,
saying
it was
they were great.
it was an intense unibrow.
Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
making fun. It was
Okay,
a
I just want to
great
make sure
set
because
of
I
eyebrows.
felt it was a bit weird if I did. So
No, but they're back in style.
okay,
A lot
well,
of
fair
people
enough.
have unibrows now, yeah.
Some would say never went out of style, but those are the people with
But
unibrows.
as far as special effect, I did love every time a pane of glass was shattered. There was a lot of broken glass in this
a
movie.
lot of broken glass.
A lot of broken glass. Even the windshield was real glass. It didn't break like a windshield that would just shatter and
It
come
was
off.
just a
It
pain
didn't
of-
break like the sugar, like the what they make the glass out of, like the sugar.
Or
stuff.
no, like how a windshield. If you step on a windshield,
It
it's
broke like the sugar.
protected,
Yeah.
so it will shatter, but it won't actually break.
Yep.
It's one panel. When he just stomped in the windshield, it literally broke like a pane window.
like a piece
Oh,
of
yeah.
sugar. It did, yeah.
Yeah, because they use it's like I think they just call it sugar glass.
yeah,
yeah.
it was just weird to me that there was actually like a fake pane of glass as a windshield.
Well, you get it where he throws the guy through the bulletproof glass
How
in the
old or
museum.
how much do you weigh?
Right, and it's like, well, if there's no bullets, why would it be bulletproof glass in the museum? And then like he kicks and it breaks, like the windshield would break.
Yeah.
And then he stomps in the car windshield, and it
doing
just
some
sugar
pretty-
glass breaks.
He was doing some pretty high kicks though.
High kicks.
He's-
Wesley
he's a
Snipes,
martial artist.
Street
Yeah, I
fighter.
can see that. Yeah.
They specifically
Oh.
programmed in martial arts into
Yeah.
the character's brain just so they could show off Wesley Snipes doing
was-
his martial
yeah.
arts.
But
What
yeah,
else can you do? Yeah.
Any pane glass breaking in this movie was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's good.
Adam, you got a special effect you really like?
I'm a huge fan of the car foam.
Oh, the cannoli.
The cannoli. Yeah. I really loved the concept of the whole thing. We kind of have that technology nowadays when they pack, I don't know if you've ever seen when they pack computers. They'll basically have this bag with 2 separate like sections of chemicals.
Okay.
And then what they do is they rip it a bit so that the chemical on one side of the bag, the chemical on the other side of the bag start combining. So what they do is when they do a computer, they take it, burst it like kind of like the glow tubes. They do that and they shake it up and then they just shove it in the computer, close the case, and it sort of expands around all the parts so that during shipping nothing jostles.
Oh, that's cool.
So they already have it, but it's really slow. It would not work for this. But I kind of like the idea that we've kind of got that tech.
Yeah, I love the practical shit that happens.
The practical shit. And then I absolutely love that they filmed the scene with Sylvester Stallone because it was a close-up of his face.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there in a car and they just fill it with foam.
They fill it with foam.
They just fill it with foam all around him.
punches his way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then after they show a different prop with the car, and then he like punches his way, and they clearly carved out a hole just for him to fit in there so he could then break out.
Yeah.
But I love the effect of when he's doing the car and they have the close up of his face and all the foam's just filling the car.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part.
I really loved the callback to Barbarella.
Oh yeah, that was very Barbarella.
When they were gonna have sex,
Yeah.
and they bring in the thing, and they sit down, and it's almost like the scene for scene where like they don't touch, right? And then they put on instead of taking a pill, they put on the VR sex.
Yeah.
Granted, not that I'm a fan of VR sex. I'm just saying it's the only way I can come. But no,
I was gonna make a joke like, well, have you even tried it?
I'm just
But
saying.
you just took
I'm
that
just saying
to another level.
because it's a ejaculation joke. So anyway,
Oh my god. Tell me more about this foam car.
So the foam car goes fast. So what I want to say is, though, it just echoes Barbarella within the dystopian future, and it's a direct almost callback from that. The way she puts the case down, the way they sit across from each other, like that is the shot for shot for another movie we did on Raised by Spoilers. You can check out that episode. It's probably relatively early.
It's our most watched episode,
it is
which
our
is
most
weird.
watched episode. So thank you very much if you've already checked out the Barbarella episode. Other than that, the guns and the props, just the idea of the street people living underground in these road warrior costumes that they've put together with the trash, fucking so cool, right? The dystopian, like, Judge Dredd stuff, that's fine, but I like Judge Dredd better for that shit than this movie. I think Judge Dredd had a little bit more of a budget and the comics to base stuff off of to build, right? Like the street cleaner robot and all the other nonsense.
When we get to that movie, we'll be talking about a big humanoid
we will
robot.
be comparing back and forth, trust me. Yeah, man, just the road warrior, like the street people underground stuff. It almost reminded me of another episode we did on Raised by Spoilers. You can check it out right now. It's called Super Mario World, when the Koopas, when they go underground into the new New York of New Donk City, or the Bowser world.
Well,
I can't remember the movie.
comment that like it can't be a dystopian future movie without going into the underground with a bunch of cages and stuff just hanging
Girls
around.
dancing in cages.
Yeah,
We're
like,
filming in
Mario.
a concrete factory.
My curiosity is actually that, speaking of the girls in cages, there was a scene where he unfroze a bunch of his badass dudes.
Yeah.
And then there was just a bunch of, I don't know, hooker women, like violent women. Like, okay, well, first of all, were they some of the ones they unfroze? Or where did they get these girls?
They might have just unfrozen
they're like,
them.
we have like 30 of your old buddies that we just never coded for some reason. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
And then they never really, they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
They threw the guy into the fire with his legs sticking straight up, which was quite funny.
Well, because it was a dummy.
Well, yeah, I know, but it was
I assume I don't remember. Did they all run away? Because they had the one big battle underground. Did a bunch of them die? Is that why Simon ran? Or did they just run and they never got brought up again?
I don't know. They just kind of, after that scene, they didn't really show back up again.
Yeah, I don't remember if they all died or whether they just disappeared and never showed. Because the last fight was just Simon versus John. That's a good point. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what's our next segment?
What's our next segment? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Taco Bell. No,
I'm running out of bottle blast.
Great. All right. Shit. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? Ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap this up.
Well, we did it out of order because we did does it hold up before eyebrows.
Okay. Does it matter?
Just saying that.
I'm sorry. Give me another ticket. Yeah. That's
sorry,
fair.
fascist Amanda,
Jesus,
and
Amanda.
sticking to
All
the
right,
rules
fine.
and the
You
laws.
want another
And the
segment?
rules
You want
lawyer.
another segment? All right, fine. Adam, what's your favorite Wesley Snipes movie?
Actually, this one, which is funny.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan. I don't mind the Blade movies.
Okay.
Because usually that would be
That
the
first
answer.
movie's fucking pretty good,
It's
though.
good, but I still love Wesley Snipes in this one.
My guy.
Sorry.
My guy. The Blood Rave.
The Blood Rave's
The
awesome.
Blood Rave's pretty fucking good.
Blood Rave's awesome.
That's
But no,
what
this
this
is my
movie was
favorite.
missing.
This is my favorite Wesley Snipes because he's just so uncouth.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Have you ever seen White Man Can't Jump?
No.
Oh, buddy.
I
I
haven't-
got a fucking movie
Oh,
for you
it's
with
good.
Wesley
I
Snipes.
think I've maybe seen 3 Wesley Snipes
Okay.
movies.
He's a very good actor.
We talked about this with you before.
White Man Can't Jump.
We were
It's
trying
like
to convince
3
you
hours
guys.
long, but it is fucking
It's
incredible.
wholesome.
Woody
It's
Harrelson's in it. It's a comedy.
Oh, wow.
It's really fucking funny, but we'll leave that to there. Amanda, you got a favorite Wesley Snipes movie?
I think I've only seen Blade.
That's
if
fair.
you click on it, I don't know what else he's been in.
That's an interesting question. It's weird that I don't actually know his discography all that
He
well.
shows up in New Jack City's good too. Yeah.
I've never seen that.
So he didn't do much.
He shows up in What We Do in the Shadows as a cameo on a
He
computer
does.
screen.
Oh, I do.
As Blade.
As Blade in the group,
vampire,
the Vampire Lords
the
or whatever.
Vampire Council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, I think I've only seen Blade. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can't say I cared about him in The Expendables. Like he was just a.
He's
third.
in it to be in it.
He's in it. Yeah, he's in it because it's all about action heroes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of action heroes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wrap up this whole episode as we go around the room with our final thoughts, ratings, and reviews. Adam, you brought this movie, so I'll kick it to Amanda first, and we'll end with you. Amanda, did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? What'd you think of?
I feel like I just been kind of like the same streamline through the whole thing. Is like it was a decent movie. It was entertaining.
Yeah, but we don't give me a number.
Well, no, I'm going to rate it in a minute. I feel like once again with a bunch of our movies, this is a good like Sunday afternoon movie.
I'd even say Saturday night.
I would even say it's a Halloween movie because he does say Happy Halloween to himself when he's wearing like the
kimono outfit.
Yeah, he gets kicked out and he looks in the mirror and he's wearing just like the silk like kimono / like. So he does say Happy Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know. I would rate it probably like a solid like 6, 7. I want to say it was good.
That's fair.
It was good. It's a solid TV afternoon movie.
Okay.
But it was interesting, and it's one of those movies that like a lot of stuff did reference it, so it is important as a cult movie because we wouldn't have like the scene in Austin Powers. We wouldn't have the Futurama like quotes or references like.
Yeah, they do some fun stuff with it.
Yeah, so I'd say I would say a solid 7.
Fair enough.
Yeah, good. It was good.
Okay.
Good movie.
I'm gonna land on a 6.
You're gonna land on a 6?
I'm gonna land on a 6. I think Demolition Man is okay.
Okay.
I think there are. It's not that I don't like Sylvester Stallone. I think I like his earlier stuff a little bit better. I kind of sat there and went, Last Action Hero is a lot of fucking fun too.
That's the Schwarzenegger one with
Where he comes out of the movie screen or whatever. Yeah. It bombed too. Awful.
Yeah, it did
Awful
bomb.
movie.
Yeah.
Made no money. Made no money. But this movie, like we talked about, asks a lot of questions, doesn't answer enough for me. I think it's a fun ride until you kind of stop and go, okay, what's the bad guy's next plan? Mm-hmm. Like, what happens once? Like, what's next? He's just gonna have chaos, then, right? Like, it's just, it's not. And I don't necessarily need like the full resume or the full like instructions to bake the cake here, but like I don't know. He lets all the animals out of the cage and the zoos go wild, kind of thing. But like then what?
Yep.
Right. The army, the peaceful army comes in. Like it just doesn't solve itself in a way.
You just remind me of a funny part in the movie that I forgot about, where she's like, "Oh my god, he's going to release like all your old enemies," and he's like, "Huh, how many?" And she's like, 80. And then he stops for a second, looks around, and he's like, "Oh no, we got to stop that."
Well, that's too many.
I can fit 2.
Yeah, he's like, it wasn't like a big action, like, "Oh no, I got." He's like, "Oh no, I can't do that. Let's fucking go."
Yeah, that is good.
Sorry, that was. Funny.
I thought it was funny. I found Sandra Bullock and the whole crew of peaceful people a little bit more annoying than funny.
Okay.
Right? I found like the "let's go lick his ass" was like it just didn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
She got better with the catchphrases and stuff, but like those jokes just didn't hit the way I wanted.
If you compare her role as, I am actually sorry to reiterate again, her role as a co-star, as a female actress, they actually gave her stuff to do.
Yeah.
Unlike Courtney Cox and He-Man.
Yeah.
So they did that right, where she actually was an important part of the plot, and she wasn't just like the stick or like the damsel in distress.
Yeah, one of my most hated tropes that I absolutely despise. I notice it every time, like, ugh, is you have the male and the female, a good guy, and then the male and the female bad guy. And the female's got to fight each other because you can't have a female fighting the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not okay. And it's like, first of all, that's why I love movies like Atomic Blonde, one of my favorite action movies. But
It's fun.
it's great. But in this one, she kicks the living shit out of at least one dude, like hardcore.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Which was great. Like I enjoyed that. They didn't just go make up a female underground villain person for her to fight. Like,
Like,
no,
yeah, she beat up a guy.
she beat up a guy. I appreciate it.
I like Sandra Bullock. Hard stop. I think she's great in this.
Yeah.
Think her job to be the annoying sidekick is great. She does a great job to the point where she ignored me. So I was like, that's what I mean. Where I'm like, she's great. I have nothing wrong with anybody in this movie. I just think that they could have had it, whether Wesley Snipes maybe read the script, could have helped, or if they had a little bit of a better script to keep going with.
Yep.
That's my only crux.
I think
Improv is amazing sometimes, especially if it's comedy or if it's action bits where something broke or something was thrown and somebody caught it, or there's those moments where you thank God we got it on camera.
Yep.
And there are some things that come off the cuff or out of people's mouths on the fly that are gold, and sometimes it doesn't stick, right? Was Sandra Bullock's lines of the let's go lick his ass and beat him off
Yeah.
improv to just fuck up Stallone to try to get him to laugh?
Maybe.
Did they preload
I
those?
don't know.
Or I don't know either, and that's like special features stuff that we have to get into way later. Or was that just like, oh, this will be really funny, and Stallone's writing these things because comedy, right? I don't know. And those were the ones with just like the weird, awkward jokes. Kind of, I get they're funny, but even like there was just a couple characters and stuff that just didn't sit well. So it's a 6. I'll watch it again. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Don't get me wrong. There's just parts of it as like the film itself gets in its own way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, they didn't do the one setup where early in the movie he's like, oh, hopefully Simon Phoenix doesn't figure out that he can just cut off someone's hand and get unlimited access.
Where was
and money.
Schrodinger's hand?
Are you, damn it.
Where was Chekhov's fingers?
Chekhov's fingers,
So they
yeah.
set that up, and I'm like, oh, at some point he's going to cut someone's arm off, like he did with the eye, and just gain access to a bunch of
That's
stuff.
a really good point.
Kill
They
the
missed.
politician and take his fucking
Yeah,
hand.
they didn't do
Where's
it.
the override? Boop.
You're
I got it.
absolutely right. They did miss that Chekhov's gun.
That was like the one loose end where it's like that, like, you know, that could have changed.
That and the daughter.
I'm happy they
The
changed
daughter
the
was there the
daughter.
entire time.
I'm happy they changed it, but the problem is they still kept in the line of I had a daughter. Right?
And
If they just
her-
removed that line, it would have
Yeah,
been
and
better.
him being like, no, don't look her up.
Yeah, they kept too much of that for you to be like, wait, what happened?
Why do you keep winking at me?
yeah.
Ew.
I
I think the hand, though, if they would have killed the politician,
Yeah.
got the hand, and that was the override to release all the prisoners.
yeah.
the doctor's
That
hand.
would have
There's
been
only
great.
one guy who can let everybody out all
If
at
he
once.
just would have cut off, Raymond's hand.
No, you're right.
There it is.
That is the absolute answer that would have fulfilled. I mean, it would have changed the movie.
Yeah.
Not 100%,
well,
but
he
it would have
holds
been
all the keys.
Yeah, it
He
would have been
has
a
the
little
power.
extra.
Yeah.
No, I do like that. That
He's
was
got his
The
hands.
good
in
one-
addition.
The one loose end.
Yeah, it's a good addition. I like that.
He's got his hands in everything. He holds all the keys. He holds all the power.
hand
He's the
is
guy.
the hand.
He's the hand of the people.
He's the hand of God,
Right?
you know,
blah,
whatever.
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. And then they go, fuck it. Yeah, cut his hand off. And then he walks
No.
around with this guy's hand.
That is a beautiful addition to this movie. I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
I would have loved.
That would have fixed it. That would have been
I
a
don't know if I
lot-
would have said it would have fixed it all, but
I think that would have fixed it.
would have helped.
The hand would have been the daughter, long lost. I mean, it would have checked all of the boxes in one
Yeah, but then he would have
swoop.
put the little sex head on the hand.
I
I'm just
wouldn't.
joking.
What did you think of this movie? What'd you rate it?
I do have to admit, I'm not. This movie, just like
You love it.
its opinions, I'm fucking confused by it. There's definitely a strong factor of nostalgia
Sure.
to what I have with it. I watched this movie far younger than I probably should have, like most movies that I've watched.
There's one boob. You're fine.
Yeah, but with all the action and everything, I watched it probably at like 6 or 7.
Sure.
Which I probably shouldn't have on VHS at some point.
Ooh.
But I don't really know what to think of. I don't know whether to give it because it's that, you know me, I've given a lot of good ratings to the really smart movies.
Sure.
Or the movies that have particularly good composition or particularly good dialogue or
Not really.
particularly good stuff.
We've seen your review of Alien, but anyway.
Oh my God, it was months ago.
My problem with Alien is that
Just-
watch
just
that
give us the
episode.
rating and
Watch
review.
that episode. Because of its juxtaposition, I want to because I enjoy this movie. I enjoy it deconstructing action movies, but also I find it does. It insults them. That's why they have so many one-liners. But also it indulges in it, so it doesn't really know what to say about itself, and that throws me off. I want to give it because my enjoyment of it is an 8. And I've got this how much fun did I have?
I can definitely see how you could get an 8 out of this.
Yeah.
I definitely.
But
definitely
I think
see
as a
it.
technical movie, and because it doesn't really know what it's trying to say, I think I probably would give it a 7.5.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I'd probably give it a 7. I'll stick to a 7. I'll give us a number, and I think I'll go with a 7 because I did enjoy it. But you're right. After you actually dig into this movie, there's a lot of what the fuck?
I think that comes with your mileage, though, right? Like, how many times have you seen this fucking film?
Oh fuck! I did 10 times.
Yeah.
at least.
Oh, okay.
Right. You love it.
Yeah,
because
I love
you've
it.
been there and you're waiting for the punchlines and those jokes and the lick his ass and
Yeah.
all of that shit. Right.
Yeah, I don't know on a rewatch if it would hit the same or if it would be better on a rewatch or
By
if
the
you
third or
just-
fourth time, it's funnier.
I mean, we could all come back in 2032 and actually have like the anniversary.
He's out. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can say that at this point, it almost feels more like when I watch it because of the cult status that it's gained.
Yeah.
With the 3 seashells, which we'll talk about, and everything else. Where you know that scene from something in Hollywood or whatever with
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time, where he does the snap a little look at the thing. It feels like that's like he makes the reference. He makes the reference we all know.
Yeah.
And that gives me joy. But is it funny per se? Not anymore. Like I've seen yes, we will go to Taco Bell.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode has been brought to you by Taco Bell. Thank you very much, Taco Bell, for your kind support of Raised by Spoilers and for winning the fast food war. You are the only fast food chain in existence in the dystopian future. Taco Bell.
But so when they're making that joke, I'm prepared for it, but it does ruin it. Like when you know it's coming, there is a bit of a ruining the reaction.
You anticipate it and you have fun with it, right?
Yeah,
And that's the thing.
But it does ruin I get that, I find the funny. It's more just a I'm involved look. It's like when we all make meme jokes that are internal to our culture and our society, that we all make a joke that then says, oh, you're one of me.
Yeah.
We enjoy it, but it's not like the most amazing, new, fresh thing in the world.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Interesting.
So yeah, 7.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Demolition Man.
No. Okay. Never mind.
We land.
The Spider-Man like pointing me. You guys.
The Spider-Man pointing
there,
me?
there you go.
There it
go.
is, there it
thank
is.
you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right, let's
Ladies
close
and
this
gentlemen, I'm waiting on you all. Thank you very much for joining us. We are Raised by Spoilers. I want to thank Plebeian Adam. I want to thank Nintendo Geek.
And we want to thank you.
We want to thank you. You can find us all over the internet. We're on that website that is mainly full of porn bots, and that evil, tyrannical overlord wants us to pay $1 or more for. We are going to look at other spots to try to get in touch with everybody because we want to build this community like a VHS collection, just old, raggedy, and beat up. Sometimes watched, sometimes forgotten about.
We're a little demagnetized.
We are a little demagnetized. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on YouTube. You can watch us. You can listen to us at all of our podcast services. We are on Spotify and all of those other places. You can find us all over the web. We are Raised by Spoilers. Good night. Be kind and rewind.
Or else.
And we love you.